Rocky, go.
Fifers arriving. Welcome to the Fifers DD991 podcast. I'm Rocky, the grumpy old patriot already. That's Gilly, Lil Tate, and Joe. And today we're going to talk about random things that just come up every day that may have to do with politics or see stories of some funny shit. So let's get ready, and Little Tate's going to start it off. Here you go.
All right, everybody. So I don't know if anybody's heard, if anybody's been paying attention, but Kash Patel just got confirmed as the FBI director. And if anybody's been following the FBI for a while, through the last administration, it was pretty nasty. FBI going after meatballs during January 6th, but couldn't find the pipe bomber and still haven't found the pipe bomber yet. So the key thing here is what I want to point out is that rhinos, and if nobody knows what rhino means, it's Republican in name only. During those votes, you're starting to see the uniparty itself, non-MAGA. There's no Democrat, Republican, any of that shit. So she voted no, but yet McConnell votes yes. The one person that slammed this dude down, right, basically calling him a traitor, votes yes. And if nobody's seen that, Mitch McConnell, after this vote, had basically announced his retirement and will not be going for re-election again. So you're seeing a lot of the old guard in Congress starting to be filtered out through Doge. These people making money that we've already discovered. It's great to see because the country is on a up and up. Now it's going to take a while. I know everybody's like, oh, fucking energy prices, fucking food prices. That inflation spending is what's being done by Doge is to bring down the deficit itself. We're putting out more money than we're taking back in. Money is being sent out from the U.S. and being printed and not being held in the U.S. itself. So we've created a deficit, and even with the amount of taxes we're paying, that you can see where this money has been going. That's the key thing. Getting back on with Kash Patel. He's been in there just like you had Tulsi Gabbard and all these people going after all the files that need to be, purged. FBI has been known for years. CIA has been known for years to have all of these files just pulled away. And you're starting to really see, like we've talked about before, what apocalypse means, the pulling back of the veil, that just how long and how deep the U.S. government funding tax corruption goes. And I want to know how you feel about that, with Kash Patel coming in and seeing some of these old senators finally, getting the fuck out.
Oh, I love it because Kash Patel, he was in the DOJ under Obama, right? People forget about that. And he's been with the FBI for years too. So he knows how they work. He was getting the FBI back how it was originally started, protecting America and catching fucking criminals. Not this fucking political shit where they fucking spy on American citizens for no fucking reason. That's the reason they don't want him in there, because he's seen how the FISA and all that bullshit worked. He's like, no, we don't need to be doing this. We need to be going after fucking real criminals.
Yeah.
And Mitch McConnell, he should have been retired when it looked like he had a stroke on live TV.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. They should have fucking retired his ass right then and there. And they need to put a fucking term limit. I mean, they got term limit. They need a term limit for senators, congressmen, and there needs to be an age limit too. And that's for everybody. These motherfuckers, when they get past fucking in their 60s, all up, they don't represent American people no more. Most of them don't. Because they're all trying to do is fill their piggy banks with all the kickbacks.
Yeah, you shouldn't want to be a politician. Oh, sorry, Rocky, go ahead.
I think it's great that what's happening right now, because eventually what's going to come back out is that who is directing the deep state. Because what you're finding out right now, this is the deep state. These are the people that work for somebody else called the shadow government that is making it so that all of society is falling apart and causing people to fight against each other. They're causing the racism. They're causing the feminism. They're causing the communism. They're causing the food shortages when chickens get killed for COVID. They're causing the cows to get killed that help people survive. They're causing the vegetation to get killed. And eventually what's got to come out is us grumpy old patriots like me are getting really fucking pissed off at people doing this goddamn shit. And if somebody doesn't fucking fix it soon, what's going to happen is patriots are going to get together, and you don't want that because you've heard that poem. You don't like, I'm the guy, you don't want me to get involved. Because if I get involved, that means you did things bad enough for me to walk away from the life that I'm trying to live in peace, and you want war. If you want blood, you got it, just like the AC/DC song, right? If they want blood, they got it. It's going to be their blood that gets spilled. And I'm telling you, it's going to be a dangerous world once that stuff comes out, because some people are not going to be happy with who's doing all this crap, and they're going to come after them. And you know what? They deserve it. And hopefully what gets shown is who is behind it all.
Got it. Got that. This right here, 13 families that secretly control the world. The Astor bloodline, the Bundy bloodline, the Collins bloodline, DuPont bloodline, the Freeman bloodline, the Kennedy bloodline, the Lil bloodline, Onassis, the Rockefeller,
China.
the Russell bloodline, Van Buren, or whatever the fuck that is. Whatever that one, number 12 is. I can't pronounce that one.
It's American.
And the Rothschilds.
Did you say the Maxima family?
The whatever number 12 is, I can't remember that one is.
The Merovingian.
He's of the guard.
The Merovingians. That's like they think they're directly related to Jesus Christ and the whole Da Vinci Code bullshit, which is proven to be fucking fake.
And here's the triangle too. You know, this is a quote from Nathan Mayer Rothschild. I don't care what puppet's placed on the throne of England to rule empire. The man who controls Britain's money supply controls to the British Empire, and I control the British money supply. It's the same thing happened to American people. Don't think those old fucking families don't have a thing in politics and what goes on in the world, because they really do.
Yeah, it's follow the money.
Oh, I want to add to that. There's a show on Netflix called Inside Job. It's a cartoon.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's supposed to be satire, but it talks about the shadow government. It's a really interesting TV show, like cartoon, to watch, because it talks about all these families and underneath. And we've already said on this show before, a lot of movies and shows give you the truth, but they'll wrap it in comedy. You'll think it's satire, but it's actually being displayed out there through those means. Hollywood's been known for that for forever.
The crazy thing about that is the reason they show you this stuff is because they have to ask permission. They have to get your consent. And if you don't say anything about it, it's like you're consenting to it. And that's the bad part, is you have so much bread and circuses going on with sports and movies and protesting stupid fucking shit that we don't know what's going on until Doge said, hey, we're missing $4.7 trillion that just went somewhere into a black hole. Well, I have some ideas of where that came from. Does anybody have an idea about where that shit went?
Well, just like we were talking about, I mean, you know, DARPA itself has like an unlimited budget. And DARPA, like we've been talking about, one of the programs for the Navy that's been around, since Vietnam, Gilly, I think, when they started.
1960, here it is right here. Let me share that one.
Marine mammal program, working with dolphins and things like that.
Since 1960, doing underwater and surveillance using a camera held in their mouths too. You know, guarded boats, subs, all that, for mines, whatever. You know, and it was from Vietnam War and the Persian Gulf to protect Navy anchored vessels from enemy swimmers seeking to plant explosives too. I mean, and if you look at the timeline, 1960, 65, 65 to 75, 75, 65 to 75, 86 to 88, 86 to 88.
Wait, go back up really quick. There's something funny I've seen. C-Lab. Go back up a little bit. 16. Keep going.
Right there. C-Lab 2.
Wasn't there a Comedy Central fucking joke animation show called C-Lab? that
I
they're
think
working
there,
on.
I think there was.
Yeah, I think there was. I'm not saying causation is correlation, but it's funny that they would use C Lab and then there's, it was C Lab like 2021 or some shit. I have to look it up, but it's just funny to see C Lab on there.
And the last time frame on here is 1997. There's no end date. So I think my opinion is they're still doing that program.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, when I worked in anti-terrorism, that became part of something I had to learn about, where I had been stationed as the ATO or the anti-terrorism LPO, which basically I was the ATO because the chief and the ATO who had the credit would take my knowledge of the subjects and everything, and we put it in a plan. So having the marine animals guard your stuff, especially after the USS Cole attack, makes sense. Now, that's where you get into like black projects. You've all heard of wet works, black projects, black operations, stuff that's done in dark, dark places. Use your imagination with the technology that we have, the ability to clone, the ability to genetically splice people, and use your imagination what we can do. It's almost like a Marvel comic movie where you have Captain America who's been enhanced, right? With special powers. What do you think they're going to do with some people? There are stories that people have been enhanced. They've been enhanced with super strength or super abilities, but the problem is, even though they have that, they don't live very long. They don't live long because for some weird reason, it doesn't help them last longer. And there's a couple of podcasts on the confessionals. If you've ever got a chance to check out the confessionals by Tony Merkel, do it. You won't regret it. And Blurry Creatures. And there's a plethora of other crazy podcasts out there that you can learn a whole lot about. And it's interesting just to listen to the stuff. That's all I'm going to say about it. But you have a vast amount of money that's disappeared. And now the American people want to know, why was our tax money wasted when it could have benefited us in paying our houses off, buying groceries, lowering the gas prices, all these other things, not necessarily lower the gas prices, but be able to afford to live. And it's funny when you think about it. A couple of months ago, before Elon Musk did the Doge thing and they started talking about it, they complained that Elon Musk was the richest man in the world. And if he gave every person $1 billion, because there's 7.5 billion people living in the world, no one would be poor, right? We'd all be billionaires. But you have people, now that Doge has come out, they're furious because they're being exposed. What happened to all those people that complain about that, saying, well, we could all be billionaires, but now they're mad that we're finding out our money's being wasted. That's the utter hypocrisy that we have. It's the cognitive dissonance. Man, I can't speak today. That is boggling my mind. It's like, how can you get mad when the truth is coming out? Sometimes the truth hurts, but it's better to know the truth than to be lied to.
And you got to continue to keep alive. What do they say? The truth will set you free, or shall set you free?
The truth shall set you free by Jesus Christ. But Hitler said something like this. He said, if you tell a lie loud enough, often enough, and all the time, the people will believe it. I don't know the exact quote, but it's something like that. If you keep on lying and talking about it and talking about it and talking about it, the people will believe it. Now, in the past 10 years, have you seen people doing that?
Yeah, it's like structural reinforcement. Like,
yes. Mainly it's come from the mainstream media, right? And it's come from the mainstream media that swings a certain way that tries to demonize certain people in society. They're believing the lies.
They were getting paid for that, so that's why they kept saying the same words.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad Politico got caught. I hope Politico goes out of business. I hope all those
Elon Musk.
I hope all those people that we talked about, previous ones about the NDA, or when Obama signed that thing and said we could lie to the American people, that's when they started getting their fucking money. So this goes all the way back to at least Obama. It probably goes back to George Bush and LBJ, to be honest. It probably goes back that far if we really want to dig into it. But that's the problem. People need to know the truth. And I think a lot of people are hungry for the truth, but they want the truth to be something nice and flowery and all that shit, and you're not going to get that.
Hey,
You're not gonna get
I
that.
want to add to that really quick. If you want, like we're talking about things, watch the Y Files. I love the Y Files. This down here, this episode got him in pretty big trouble, and it's the dark side of DARPA. So, like you're saying, Rocky, like use your imagination. But when you go through this, he starts laying out programs, and it's at the cost of the technology supremacy, the human cost of technology supremacy. So, a lot of what people don't realize, like look at the Tuskegee experiment where they're giving the black men population syphilis to see what was going on. You just had the ooze. It wasn't too long ago that you're seeing all these things. There's a lot of human testing that goes on that you don't realize is going on. Now, whether it may be physical, there's psychological too. That was another test for the ooze, was to see how long people could be held down for. That there's doctors talking about it now. And kids, even my own, have been stunted in social growth because they were out of the social environment for so long.
Yes.
All of their stuff through the internet, social media. They lost that, and this was only a couple years, 2 years to 3, and you already seen that rapid decay of just social normalcy. Like
I honestly, I used to think that this was a biblical thing, that this was a way for everyone to be separated and then to get the world to come together in world peace so that the Antichrist could come in. But I don't think that's exactly what's going on, not anymore, because it's playing out a completely different scenario. And not, trying to read the signs of the times, I think there's a lot more trouble coming, man. And I want to say it's going to be good, but it's only going to be good for those people that pay attention to what's going on.
Well, I find it funny that you said that because you keep hearing now the golden age of America, right?
Mhm.
The golden age, right? In Warhammer 40K, when Donald Trump was in his first term, they made an effigy of him as the God Emperor of mankind. Now, this is part of the Warhammer 40K universe. And now, in that series, there was the golden age of technology. And it's really funny that you're seeing references to a sci-fi, type of series. And we've already known that sci-fi all these years was science fiction, but it's becoming science fact. And it's very funny, like if you read, like if everybody truly reads, get out of the social media side and actually read some of this stuff, you're going to start seeing it. There's a lot of similarities that are drawn between the Bible and science fiction and all of this stuff.
They get everything from the Bible. Like when you talk about the golden age, you know what that is to me? The golden age is what they call Atlantis, when the gods lived with the people. And that's kind of what happened in the book of Enoch. If you're really reading the book of Enoch, that's what happened. They got all this technology from these beings because they wanted to make their own children. And the result of that was the coming flood, the world flood. And then the promise to not flood the earth again, but to burn it all in fire. That's where your global warming is. Your global warming is when God destroys the old earth with fire. I mean, it's straight there in the Bible. Now, a lot of people don't have to believe that. I don't care. It's right there, though. If you're putting it in modern terms, global warming, they say, is what? The ice caps are going to melt and everyone's going to fry to death, right? Pretty much. Yeah. Well, guess what? That is going to happen. It's just not going to happen the way that you think it's going to happen.
Well, and I have to disagree because it was funny. We talk about global warming, and in Virginia, I just got fucking 10 inches of snow, last night. Within 10 hours, I got 10 inches of snow out my fucking front yard. Indiana, where I'm from, they haven't got more than 4 inches this entire year. Growing up, we fucking blizzards and shit.
Yeah.
Now we're not even getting snow. You know what I mean? Like it's that climate shit. But I know what you're saying. Like, there's
it's all a scam. It's all a scam. They get people to be scared of all this shit. Like I've been listening to Art Bell on Coast to Coast, and this guy's been dead for 7 years now almost. And they're talking about global warming, and it's like, I'm sorry. Al Gore was wrong. You guys just scammed everybody and told everyone not to drive SUVs and all that crap, while famous people are driving in planes that waste more gas and create carbon dioxide. But what they don't tell you is carbon dioxide creates the breathing air for what? Trees. Trees. Trees breathe what we breathe out. So, like, it's actually helping trees grow. So, and then the trees grow, and then we breathe from the trees. It's like, I don't know. I don't know.
I got a funny analogy for that later. I mean, I know Gilly has something to say.
Go for it.
But that climate change crap, like you said, Al Gore's wrong. He was. But that climate change bullshit been going on since the 70s. Acid rain bullshit. You know, and everyone knows if they do their history, watch History Channel and all that shit, this planet goes into cycles. It has a warming period, it has a cooling period. Eventually, all the ice caps are going to melt, yes. Is it going to raise the sea level? Yes. But it's the cycle of the planet because the ice caps was never there thousands of years ago. Scientists have confirmed that.
Yeah.
Especially Antarctica with that being lush. And the world maps we talked about before, right? From like the 1400s and all that shows Antarctica fucking no ice.
The Piri-Reis map, to be exact, I think it's from 1513, actually. That's a very interesting map.
So eventually, planet's going to have a cycle again, just like it was when the dinosaurs, supposedly when dinosaurs roamed, right? Everything was lush, green, all that bullshit, right? Eventually, we're going to have that again. Then we're going to have another ice age. Come on. You know, people just need to quit listening to the fucking left fucking news and read other articles from other news agencies. I ain't talking about Fox, you know, but like Newsmax, you know, all that shit. Hey, there's better ones out there than CNN, NBC, all that shit.
Does anyone know if Doge found out if scientists in certain fields of study are being paid money by the U.S. government to create propaganda for that kind of stuff? I haven't seen anything on that yet, so I'm wondering if that's going to come out too.
Other than Fauci?
Well, I was watching a reel the other day. I wish I had that reel.
There's does anybody remember the movie Thank You for Smoking? Right? The tobacco had their own science bureau to do their own studies. So it's very similar to that. There are doctors that write papers that do get, I wouldn't say paid, but they get elevated in their status by providing the propaganda that the news can use for numbers. I'd have to dig all the articles out, but that has been proved, not proven, but has been talked about. Like there's receipts, but there's not really money there. So you don't know if they were funding an NGO or a fundraiser foundation, because that's what they're starting to find. All these foundations that people are starting, that's where they're getting their money from. The U.S. aid they're finding that money being sent to foundations. You found out one of the federal judges just recently, his wife had a funding paid into. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, it was a U.S. aid guys. They got that guy for something, and then they found out his wife took a big loan or a grant or something, right?
Yeah,
that's the one. Judge.
Yeah.
Conflict of interest.
Hold on, I'll see if I can find it really quick.
You know, that kind of crap that you're talking about right now, that's why I said that the other day. I think before that story came out, you need to check all the judges in all the circuit courts, all the way up to the Supreme Court, and all the aides, all the senator aides, all the congressmen, like the House of Representative aides, all of those people that are involved in making laws, they're getting paid off by somebody.
Well, here's one for Stacey Abrams, right?
Oh yeah, the gold dump.
Yep, Dodge digs up $2 billion set aside for Stacey Abrams' linked group. The Biden administration designated $2 billion in taxpayer funds for a climate group that is linked to former Georgia Democrat Stacey Abrams. The EPA and DOJ officials discovered the funds with the EPA administrator called it extremely conservative revolutionization.
Right, it was $2 billion.
Yeah, $2 billion. Yeah.
out of that 20 billion they talked about sinking gold.
Quickly earmarked to 20 billion outside AC respected some organizations were created out of thin air just to take advantage of this. Right there.
All right, I found it. Are you still sharing, Gilly?
I just stopped. I just stopped.
All right, so this is that one judge we're talking about. So right here, why federal judges threw the wrench in the Trump's agenda has a curious connection to USA, like Joe's saying. A lot of this US aid is tied to this, you know. You know, this US aid is this funnel. The money laundering is going through this.
It makes you wonder, how are these people becoming judges if they're that morally corrupt?
Yeah, exactly.
Do they even have a moral code?
Maybe his wife did. Maybe his wife didn't tell him. You know, I mean,
because that, you know, by that right there, they should not be a fucking judge.
Oops, yeah, they should get him off the bench for that. You know,
they should get off the bench. The wife should be arrested and all the other crap because it's complete hypocrisy and it's thievery and it's usury.
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to, remember, I don't want to blast on Christianity too hard, but you know, the Christian Children's Fund. You know, back when we were growing up, you'd see that fucking ad come on, you know, just for 50 cents a day, you can sponsor a child. And they're finding these fucking programs for those, you know, they've been going on for what now, 30, 40 years? You know, Ethiopia is actually more developed than what you think it is. They don't show that.
To add on to that, because I am a Christian and I'm not offended by that, do you think those people are really Christians? Do you think they're born again? Do you think they actually follow Christ?
Oh, no. They pull on the heartstrings and use the name, which makes them almost like a false idol, in my opinion.
They're false prophets. They're false teachers. They're false Christians. They're the reason that no one takes Christianity serious. But the church has been falling apart for a long time now. I remember when I read that a couple of weeks ago. I read Revelation chapter 2 on that church that Jezebel took over. That's exactly what it is. And there's other ones like that too. There's all 7 churches have problems except for like one. And
the Catholic priest that talked about slam down Trump for transgenderism and the LGBTQ community or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I mean, it's been going on for a long time. Like I was listening to Malachi Martin talk to Art Bell, and that's why he left the Jesuit order and the Catholic Church. He remained a priest, but he left that because he saw the way that the Catholic Church was going. Now, I don't believe the Catholic Church is the right church anyways. I don't think that Peter was the first bishop of Rome. He was crucified in Rome, crucified on an upside down cross. The first true patriarch of the church was James, one of Jesus's brothers. If you read in the book of Acts, he's actually the one leading the church council on what the church will do. That was newly formed after the resurrection and the ascension of Christ. So I don't know where the Catholics are getting that crap, but you know, the Catholics are right about some things, but there's some things, no, you can't do that, because what's happening is it's having a snowball effect. That snowball effect has been going on since 1960, apparently, but now the snowball is going to all different realms of society, whether it's church, school, regular business people, the secular world, it's in other religions, it's all being discombobulated, right? It's all being, or someone is pulling the strings to make it all look like it's all happening on accident, but it's actually being done on purpose. And that's the bad part.
That goes back to the Catholic Church, like the Vatican being the church mafia. You know, there's a story on that. I'd have to dig all that out, but there's a story on the Vatican, you know, storing a lot of the gold and stuff like that. Like we just talked about Fort Knox getting audited. You know, let's see the gold. And there's money going around, and there was a History Channel special on the Vatican being like a mafia, like mafioso. Where the hell does the mafia come out of that we know?
Italy. But I could tell you where I think the mafia truly comes from, but that would be a long
Oh yeah, that is a lot. I mean, that's gonna go for a while.
That's
Like,
going to go back thousands of years
yeah,
before the flood.
that'll go past Jesus, and it'll go really far. Like
It'll
that's what,
go in. It actually go into the days of Jared
yeah,
and one of the grandfathers of Noah.
yeah. It
To
goes
be
back
honest,
way. If you take what's being said, you know what I mean. Like you
yeah,
find the lines, and it is like the Canaanites, and I mean, it goes, back. So
it's crazy, insane, but it's like once you start seeing it, you can't deny it, and you don't want it to be true, but it's like, well, it is true.
yeah,
It's bad, but
Well,
that's the
that's
truth.
why a lot of people quit going to church when the church asks for money. Fuck that. No. You know,
I stopped going when I was a kid. That my family was denied because we couldn't pay the tithe because we didn't make enough income. So we couldn't become part of a church that we wanted to because my parents didn't make enough money. And at that point forward, I didn't believe in going to church anymore. Not saying I didn't believe in God and the Gospels. I didn't believe in church anymore after that.
because
Yeah, I
true
mean,
religion does not ask you for money. Play it simple.
actually, Jay, what it is, it's a true relationship with your creator.
Yeah. But I'm
Because
saying now
religion,
they want money, right?
they want money. That's why if you go to one of those churches nowadays, do they preach about hell?
Yep.
Do they preach about submitting to your husband? Do they preach
Anymore,
about
they
doing
don't.
the right thing? No,
Not
they
anymore.
preach about feel good. People are empowered to do whatever they want, and then you wonder why the church is falling apart. I can't take the church serious either. I left around 2015 when I was in Seal Beach. I would try to go to this church in Seal Beach, California, right, with my family, and they were allowing people that were living in sin to do that stuff. People that did not play for the right team, then people that thought they were something else other than what they actually were, what was in between their fucking legs. I was like, I'm out of here. I'm taking my kids out of here. So now I have Bible studies with my kids where I read the Bible to them and I explain it to them. And I have books to back up what I'm talking about. Because, there's a verse, I forget if it's Obadiah or Habakkuk or something, it says, my people perish for their lack of knowledge. And that's why you have a lot of people right now, they're dying, not necessarily dying physically, they're dying in the spirit, they're dying personally, and they're dead inside because they have no knowledge of what the actual truth is, because all we've been told for many, many, many years are lies. We've inherited lies. And luckily, hopefully this Doge thing will reveal the truth, and it's going to be an ugly fucking truth as we've seen, right? It's been ugly. Like some of the
Here's one thing.
ridiculous things that people are spending money on instead of helping our veterans, helping our fellow Americans, making sure that people come into our country legally. I have no problem with someone coming to our country. Come to our country legally and be loyal to the U.S. Do the Pledge of Allegiance. That's all I'm asking for. Life,
And,
liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Just do it the right way.
and I think the word loyalty has been twisted as like obedience. You know what I mean? That's not what loyalty means. The true meaning of loyalty is being there, like truly being there. You don't have to be obedient, but when asked, because you can question loyalty. Like, like we have with orders. If it's not a lawful order, I'm still loyal, but I'm not gonna, do an unlawful order. Loyalty, I think, has been put down to obedience. Like you have to be obedient if you're loyal. I think that term it's just misconstrued. It's been twisted into something different. Like I have to kill for you because I'm loyal. That's not what it means.
Well, they also fucking now, if you're loyal, you call yourself a patriot, they want to call you Nazis now, fascists now, all that bullshit.
What's going to happen with all those words they use, like you're a misogynist, you're a Nazi, you're racist, you're a xenophobe. No, those words are going to have absolutely no meaning. All it means now is that you can't win an argument through logic. You keep on using that stuff, I'm going to continue to disrespect you and limit your fucking knowledge because you have no knowledge to spread. You only have lies and propaganda and emotion. You have nothing to stand on except your emotion. And we all know that when people make really emotional decisions, how does it usually go?
badly.
It was bad,
But
right?
Yeah.
It
but
was
look
bad.
at what JD Vance called out Germany on, right? People in Europe about how Germany, a lot of those countries over there, they have no real free speech. They have none.
Yeah.
Especially if they think it's bullying on the internet, right? If you disagree with somebody, they can find you and put you in jail for that shit. And they did a 60-minute interview with some of the people from Germany, right? That enforces that. They said, yeah, we'll put you in jail or a fine for that shit if we don't agree with it. You know, what they forget, Germany never forgot. They think they learned from what Hitler did. They're going right back to it because Hitler did the same fucking thing to people back in the day. And fucking Mark Rubio fucking shut up the fucking reporter that was asking questions about that, saying blah, blah, blah. And he goes, no, Hitler did that. You know,
Yeah, that goes back to what Rocky's saying. They use propaganda. It's like if you don't agree with me 100%, then you're fucking some kind of name. Tulsi Gabbard, all these people that were on the Democrat Party that went just slightly right and said, "Hey, wait a minute," and questioned it. They fucking slammed them. They completely fucking threw it, and that's why they're like, "Fuck this! It's a cult."
Yeah.
These people are fucking cult, and
Well,
it's
yeah.
not Democrats.
They actually are a cult. They're a cult of death and destruction, man. Like
And
if
now
if you want to see like a cult that's satanic at heart and Luciferian, that's them.
Yeah.
and now the people that the leftists, they're called people who vote for Trump occult members of MAGA.
But here's a funny analogy, guys. I don't think anyone's thought of this. You have the left and the right in politics, right?
Yep.
What do you have as the satanic way? The left-hand path and the right-hand path. It's the same fucking thing. That's why you have to be careful with politics. You have to be careful with whose side you take because there's a left-hand path and a right-hand path. And when you're reading the Bible, which of course I'm bringing up again, people please don't roll your eyes. When the Bible talks about like the patriarchs, like Abraham did not walk to the right or to the left. He walked the straight, narrow path that God set for him. And that's the point. That's why earlier in other podcasts I said if you're using politics to get your way, to lie, cheat, and steal and manipulate, you've already lost me because you have no moral foundation to stand upon.
Well, just like when this country was founded, right? Our
Yeah.
first president, George Washington, was neither a Republican or Federalist back then or a Democrat. That started when Thomas Jefferson ran for president under a Democrat. That started with him. Because I watch the History Channel all the fucking time. I watched that whole series that they've done all week about him. From the time he was born, the time he was left presidency, right? When he died. Those are the ones, Thomas Jefferson, people like that is the ones that got it going. We've had one independent president, that was George Washington. And he wanted politics to be kept like that. But then politicians say no. People that was like Thomas Jefferson, that was actually educated, that grew up wealthy, they wanted it their way, then people didn't want that, so they created the Federalist.
Yeah, it's autocracy.
Yeah.
So, I'll say it like this: like the reason why everybody's hating MAGA and Rocky, you're right. You got the left and right hand path. That always creates a division, right? There's always a division there, right? Instead of going straight, and that's where people. I don't like using MAGA, but I'd rather. And you can't really use independent because MAGA people are wanting the country, like it says, to be great again. They want this stuff exposed. They don't believe in all Republicans' views. They don't believe in all the Democrat views. It's the straight and narrow. It's like what is right and what is wrong. Why is my money being spent? Why has it been said? Like Obama, like we talked about. You can go back and pull video clips of Hillary Clinton talking about illegal aliens and paying to get in here. It's like they're back and forth. They don't even know which side they're on.
And that's
And
been going on for generations, hundreds of years.
I
Ever
believe,
since we've had two political parties, right?
yeah,
That's been
Yeah.
going on there.
But
You know-
the thing that drives me nuts, and I never paid attention to politics until 2016, to be honest. You know, I did the PO1 fucking NRTC, the non-resident rating course, where it said, as a petty officer first class, you want to know what's going on so you can explain to your sailors what's going on and why we're doing this mission or whatever, right? Well, I started to pay attention in 2016 between Trump and Clinton because I saw there was a definite divide. When you have a woman say, anyone that doesn't agree with me is a fucking deplorable, well, guess what, bitch? You just lost half the fucking nation, you stupid bitch. You open your fucking mouth, and guess what? I had no faith in that bitch from the get-go because I think she had JFK Jr. killed. But just
but the Clinton Foundation comes up with that one since we're talking about Doge and these organizations that filter this money. And like we talked about, it's been going on forever. And I mean, we could get into Social Security. When it was
yeah.
like that, that's a long one. I mean, short and simple on that one is basically you're stamped with a unique number. Basically, you're barcoded like Hitman. If anybody remembers the game or the movie, right? You got that on the back of your fucking neck. You can't do anything without it. You can't open up accounts. You can't. There's nothing you can do without that number. That is, you are a number in the system. You're in the banking system, right? They take a loan out on you. They know how much money you're going to make. They kind of like put you in a category, and then they pull a loan out on you. That's how they're lending out money, is against you as a person. You're not human anymore. You're an account number. That's what the Social Security number is a
That, I knew that, but I always wondered why they went to DOD ID numbers.
That's one I'd have to dig into.
Like, was it for privacy information or something like that? Because
maybe we're on a separate set. There's
because our first IDs had our Social Security number on them.
Yes, and then sometime in 20, I don't know what year
when they switched over to the CAT cards. That's when you got a new number.
Yeah, we got a DOD ID number.
I was still in when we got the CAT cards.
There was, remember, the RFID plan to chip everybody, and that DOD ID number would be on your chip, and it would have they were explaining it as it would have your medical record on it, right? So they would hit the little fucking RFID, and they know what your blood type was. You had sickle cell anemia. Remember, we had to wear dog tags in boot camp that were red, and it was supposed to have all of that, but it also had GPS tracking in it. So that ID became separate. I think, don't hold me to it. This is my idea, my conspiracy theory. But it was a program that was going in. It was going to be implemented. We were going to be chipped with RFIDs. And then we got CAT cards, which very similar to an RFID because you log it in, credentials are in there, your files are in there, like all of it's chipped to your card instead of it being chipped to you. So, and that was supposed to be for the battlefield. Like, field surgeon, fucking, all right, I know I need this, use this, all of that was supposed to be in there. That was what it was labeled as. Now, anybody can look that up. That was 100%.
And here's the thing about with Social Security. Talk about Social Security got moved from a trust to the general fund. 1969.
69, let's go.
That's when they fucking took it out of a trust to pay the debt.
Mm-hmm.
And that should have never been done.
Yeah, because trust like locks shit in. I know that there's a couple ways. Like if you have firearm, the ATF needs to be abolished too. But if you have old guns and you put them in a trust, you can't touch them. Like you can't get a hold of that. Trusts are like almost like steel clad, man.
Because if they left it in trust like it was resolute bet. And who was the president back then? 69. Was it still fucking LBJ?
I think so. I have to,
So he's the
I
one
think
that fucking
Nixon
did it.
took over in 1970. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, Nixon took over in 70. But if they would have left that in a trust, people on Social Security now would be getting a hell of a lot more than what they're getting now. Guaranteed. Because that trust builds interest.
hey, and fuck the Social Security services, because before my mother passed away, God rest her soul, a couple years ago, she was fighting Social Security. They were telling that she owed money, and they wouldn't lift a fucking finger to help her. So you're telling me you're worried about firing all these people when they're not willing to help the fucking people that need it. So I mean, I get pretty pissed because she was struggling. She didn't, wasn't in the best health, and they wasn't giving her right answers. She had a 401k that was in some kind of conflict, but she couldn't understand it. So she'd been drawing Social Security, but should have been drawing over 401k, and then came back and said, "Oh, we paid you too much money. You got to pay back $16,000." My mom owed $16,000, and you got motherfuckers pulling millions of fucking dollars out of there.
And then there's the whole thing with someone's 360 fucking years old.
Yeah, fuck you. Like, oh, it's because of the way that our system is, the coal bowl system. It defaults.
So are vampires real now?
Yeah,
Does
like,
one of them count Dracula?
I think vampires are real. If you look at certain,
yeah, we get the vampires. I love vampires. They're my favorite.
If you look at certain actors, right, and then you see certain pictures for them from 1800s, right, it looks just like them.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage, Leonardo DiCaprio, like, yeah, there's Keanu Reeves is in there too. And Keanu Reeves is like probably one of the best actors because he's down to fucking earth.
Yeah.
Like he's one. I mean, he wouldn't even present Whoopi Goldberg with what was it? Person of the whatever humanitarian type shit that they got.
How the fuck is she a humanitarian?
Yeah, that's what he's saying. He's like, she's not a good person.
Oh, like, she's a terrible fucking wretch, dude.
Yeah. Like that whole fucking show is garbage. The View, like that's another propaganda like you're talking about.
Yeah, that's feminist misandrist propaganda.
Yeah.
And I want to read something that Charlie Kirk wrote today that I found on Twitter, where I saw it today. I don't agree with Charlie Kirk when it comes to feminism because he's a little cuckold. But he did say this about J.D. Vance. Vice President J.D. Vance has a powerful message for young men. My message to young men is to don't allow this broken culture to send you a message that you're a bad person because you're a man, because you like to tell a joke, because you like to have a beer with your friends, or because you're competitive. Our culture wants to turn everybody, whether male or female, into androgynous idiots who think the same, talk the same, and act the same. We actually think God made male and female for a purpose, and we want you guys to thrive as young men and as young women. And we're going to help with our policy to make it possible to do that. Amen. I hope they do, because they need to fix the fucking marriage laws. They need to fix family court, because they're not going to get any men to get married, and those men are going to leave the country, and they're going to be all military age, going to another country, because why would you defend a country that wants to fuck you over as a man? It's nice for him to say that, but I want to see him fix all the marriage laws.
Yeah,
I want to see them get rid of the Duluth model, where men are blamed for everything. When we know domestic violence between lesbians is out of control, when they have a 72% divorce fucking rate, and it's smaller than men and women divorce rate.
And I agree with that too. And this goes back to like mental health. For all of us that are veterans, men and women.
Yeah.
We're all treated, men looking bad, and that's why we've talked about before. You have the 21 a day, suicide. And it's not, everybody forgets, it's not just men, it's women too. Because women start feeling the same thing too. They're like, fuck, I'm being grouped up with these feminists, and they're not. Like we've talked about before, with your wife, actually doing her job. And I've met plenty of women in the military and outside of it that want to do their fucking job. Like they can do the job but then they're lumped into these fucking groups.
Well, the problem is I've talked to my wife and people that work with me that are not feminists, and they're great women. They really are great women. I have a lot of respect for them, and I care about them, right? Because some of them didn't grow up with a dad. So guess how their lives turned out? They turned out bad. They turned out not ideal. So they didn't have a positive father figure in their life, right? So of course, things are going to fall apart. But they're like, how do I even attack this because of the sisterhood, which the sisterhood isn't real. If one girl likes another guy, she'll try and steal that guy, and they can be best fucking friends. I've seen
Happens
it
all
happen
the time.
before. It happens all the time. So that whole sisterhood crap is a bunch of bullshit, just like the brotherhood crap. Although men should have a code, we should be good as our word, right?
We used to. We
Yeah,
used to.
and we need to get back to that. But
I remember in the past, like, I got, I had a best friend, and, in the military, when you get through all this stuff, it was like his girl wanted to come after me. And it was like, no, I can't do that to a battle brother, and that's the way that it should be. The code is like, I can't do this. And what I need to say is something. And then this girl went out and found somebody else, at her workplace. And it'd been happening through her entire life. So it's like, and she didn't grow up without a dad, divorced and stuff like that. But I agree that, that should be, the bro code has been broken, for so long, with that shit too. You take care of each other. Like Gilly took care of my ass in fucking Tijuana the one night, all fucked up. And the two girls trying to fucking basically sexually assault me and steal my money. You know what I mean? And this was happening, what was that, 2000, Gilly? Like,
it was 2000. It was the last time I was in fucking Tijuana before I left the boat.
Well, when we could go to Tijuana, that shit was like, they were getting me fucked up. They were feeding me drinks, and everybody thinks women are I love women too, but they're also just as evil, like we talked about. They're looking for money. And look at it now. They're always looking for money. It's always about money.
I mean, they've unfortunately, a lot of women have set this precedent that my time is worth your money. And what kind of model does that set up? Prostitution.
Yeah, brothel, man.
I mean,
I used to say that to GC1 Serio. Remember Serio?
Yeah.
I made him so fucking mad one day on the mess decks because I was single at the time. I kind of, broke up, to come in the military. So I was single to get away from that long distance relationship shit. And the more I thought we were talking, I was like, dude, prostitutes are a better investment than a wife at the time. This is when I was a younger man. I was like, look, all I need is somebody to take care of me really quick. I'm going to pay you for your service. You're going to go about your way. I'm going to go about my way. You got your money from me. I got my gratification out of you.
Yeah. But deep inside, what does that do to you?
Well, at the time it didn't bother me. It didn't, because I thought about women, and I was telling him, I was like, if you have a wife, this is a long-term investment. What is my ROI? What is my return on investment? And that's where you get into love. Yeah, the book of Numbers. And you get into that, like, okay, there you go. What is the world without men? Yeah. We'll get into that one too. But it was the same thing. Like, that's what I was advocating for. Was at the time there wasn't any love, and that was what your return on investment was, is that you grew together. And, what do you provide to the table that's always asked nowadays? What do you bring to the table? What do you bring to the table? And all men want, in my opinion, was to be appreciated. Just that's what the woman does. Thank you for, putting food on the table. Thank you for clothes on my back and shelter put over my head, and reciprocate through. That's the yin and yang.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
got pissed about that.
Like I'll share a little bit about me and my wife. Like, my wife, when I met her, she was just my friend, right? We became friends and we became boyfriend, girlfriend, and got married. But she was in a place where she couldn't really do a whole lot. So I took care of her. It came naturally to me to take care of her, right? I was her friend, but I also took care of her. I protected her from other people and other things like that. And the way that she reciprocated that was by being loyal and faithful to me. Now, a faithful, loyal woman is the most priceless thing that you can ever have in your life. Because, you know, they have those memes out there now that says the most important thing in your life as a man will be who you decide to marry. Right? Because she can either ruin your life or make it better. And so, you know, I told Heidi, I said, we have a complementary relationship. I have a mission in life. You help me accomplish that mission. And in accomplishing that mission every day or every year, I am taking care of you. So I'm doing this to take care of you, and you take care of me by helping me do this. So it all works as a complementary thing. And I don't think that people understand that now. They're only looking at somebody's looks. Oh, he's cute. Oh, she's pretty. Blah, 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 blah. What about, do you fucking get along? Do you like each other? Can you talk to each other? You know, can you spend time together and get to know each other and actually talk about deep, important things? Can you bounce ideas off each other and not get mad at each other? Can you communicate? You know, because I'm not a fucking mind reader. If a woman thinks a man's a mind reader, she's fucking delusional.
Yeah, just tell us straight to the fucking point. Go ahead, Gilly.
Yeah.
See,
Like,
men as creatures, we are easy to please.
yeah,
We are
you know what
very
it
easy
is?
to please. You show us appreciation for what we do. You know, take care of the household, right? Pay the bills, all that shit. And fuck us. That's all we ask.
You know what I
it's simple as that.
Yeah.
You sexist pig.
Here's what I told the girl. I told this girl that worked with us, right? And she was like 21, 23, 24. She was in her prime still, right? Because women have a short window in their prime, whether they fucking like it or not. That's the truth. That's the best looking they'll ever fucking be and the most fertile they'll ever be. And I told her, you know what guys want? An empty ball sack and a full stomach.
Yep. But nowadays, most women can't cook, so the men have to cook. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I cook better than most women anyways. But you know what? Give me a blowjob every now and then. I'm happy.
Yeah. It isn't just empty out, like Rocky's saying. That's all. Like, I enjoy cooking. And like, it goes back to what Rocky's saying. When you come together, the quote's always been out there. Behind every successful man is a strong woman. You know, and that's the woman that's, like you're saying, loyalty, like we said, isn't obedience, but believing in him, in his ideas, is the loyalty behind that.
The obedience or the submission would come. She follows his leadership.
Yes.
She walks with him on his path because that's his mission in life, right? And in doing so, she benefits from it. We grow a family together. We grow a legacy together. We grow old together. We die holding each other's hands, or hopefully that's the way we go, right? Because that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way it was always supposed to be. But then, you know, the fucking serpent in the garden had to fuck it all up by tricking someone. Anyways,
Yeah.
you know, on that, there's another video I want to share with you guys. It's the Libs of TikTok on Twitter or X. It says a woman now rooting for the cartels over Trump. They're rooting for a terrorist organization. I got to share this with you guys. You got to see this fucking crap. This is ridiculous. Why are they doing this? And then they wonder why men don't want to get married. They
I'm
want
lock them up in fucking Gitmo. That's treasonous right there.
Yeah, here it is right here. I'm going to press pause and I'm going to the volume.
Sound off.
Well, she already looks like kind of she's a little bit off.
Here's what we do.
Herself. Look at that. Look at that cleavage.
I know. That's what's the first thing I saw with the big old titties there.
Yeah, but the thing is, no matter what they look like, if they're beautiful, you have to understand where their frame of mind is.
Yeah.
If they have a messed up frame of mind, that pretty face, those nice boobs or whatever, the stuff that we look at that attracts a man, it's not going to work.
Yeah, but look at those dead eyes. That's what I've started looking at now.
That's the thousand cock stare.
You know how you fix that, right? Before you play it, right? You know how you fix that?
Right.
Yeah, she just needs more cum in her diet.
You're stupid. All right.
She has a lack of semen in her diet.
Okay, let's listen.
By like the most unexpected group of people. Do you know who Trump's tried to declare war on? The cartel. Oh, please do. Please do. Walk around and find out, Trump. Oh, we might be saved by like the most unexpected group of people. Do you know who Trump's tried to?
So that's the mentality of women in America. And when you go on YouTube and you see videos of women complaining, why don't men want to date us? Why don't men approach us? Why don't men want to get married? Why don't men want to do anything for women anymore? Why would men want to do that?
What are you talking about? That's the meme of like, would you rather be with a man or a bear in the woods? Oh, I'd rather
Exactly.
be with a bear. Like,
The funniest thing was, would you rather talk to a woman or talk to a brick wall or a tree? You know? But
depends on the eyes.
But a lot of
Yeah.
these women don't realize nowadays to have babies, you gotta have men. If we ain't fucking you and putting our fucking semen in you, you ain't getting fucking pregnant. Plain and simple.
IVF, man. IVF.
You still gotta have fucking sperm at some point.
And it goes back to, remember Idiocracy? And they talk about, you know, how the woman froze her eggs, you know, at the time and then you see the argument happen. And then you have the hillbilly in the trailer park, you know, sleeping with all these women and having all these kids. It just makes me laugh because of the women nowadays are like that. You know, they're like so upstart, they're worried about their career, they're making money, they're the boss bitch, you know, that whole title. I didn't coin it. That's just what's being used by them, you know, themselves. And you see that. Like you're seeing idiocracy happen in real time. Like it's going down.
Oh, you'd be surprised how, like, I'm single, you know, in my 40s, you know, and even women that's older than me are saying, I'm a boss bitch. No, bitch, you ain't no fucking boss. Shut the fuck up. You know? They're like, I make more money than you. I'm like, you really want to find out? I guarantee it, you don't, bitch. Shut the fuck up.
the best thing that ever happened was TikTok. We got to see what women actually think about men.
Yeah.
We got to see how much women actually hate men for no fucking reason because they were brainwashed in fucking school to hate men and think that all men are bad and blah, 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 blah. And then they're going to sit there and get on fucking TikTok and ask why guys won't help them carry groceries.
Yeah.
Why?
Because they're shaking their ass for every guy out there.
Yeah. Or they'll get mad because no man will help them, even if they're in a gym. Well, why would we want to help you in a gym? You're going to put us on TikTok and say we're a creep when we try to save your life? You know, it's like, when are women going to hold women accountable? We have to hold men accountable all the fucking time. When are women and men going to hold women accountable? If you don't hold them accountable, they're going to keep on acting this way. And it's going to cause society to fall. And then society is going to fall and all the technology is going to get lost. And guess what? We're going to start all over like it's fucking 223 AD again.
Yeah, like I said, you know, the next world war will be fought with sticks and stones and shit.
Yep. Well, that reminds me, I was watching a reel last night, and this guy, this couple was getting ready to sit down on the plane, and this white woman smacks the fuck out of him, right? For claiming that he took her phone, right? And he never did. And he said, and that girl's like, oh, you done fucked up. His wife said, you done fucked up, lady. He goes, you know what the repercussions are for that, right? And she kept running her mouth, and he smacked the living shit out of her. You know, I'm going to tell you right now, you know, guys don't need to go around hitting women, right? For no reason. And women don't need to go around hitting guys either. Because you come up on a man, you're going to get fucking smacked too. You know, you want equal rights? Okay, that's equal lefts too, goddammit. Plain and simple. You know.
Are you guys still alive?
Yeah, we're still alive.
All right.
You know, I'm tired of all these women thinking, oh, I can hit a man.
No.
Then I can fucking, you know, play victim. No, you can't. That's assault right there. You hit person first. I don't care if it's man or woman, or man or woman, right? That's assault. First person.
I think the thing that woke men up to that was Amber Heard and Johnny Depp.
No, men started waking up before then. Too.
Before that, but like we actually saw
in the media, yes,
battle that proved that women are just as evil and worse than men. And the fucking sad thing is Amber Heard's hot. But you know what?
All the crazy ones are hot. All the crazy ones are hot.
But it's just a shame because, like that Libs of TikTok thing. Why would men want to defend a nation where the women act like that?
Just like
Because
you
most
said,
of us are still loyal to it. But
But I mean, here's what I'm thinking. A lot of men, their purpose in life is to have babies and wife, right? If you're
Yeah.
taking that away from them, what else is there for them to do besides sit back, look at porn, play video games all day, and build their money up, or go to another country, go get a wife, and stay there? And if you're military age, expatriate from the United States of America, and you're not going to be a body that's called on for a fucking war when the draft happens. And I think the president and the vice president and the Department of the Secretary of Defense, they all need to fucking wake up to this fucking shit. They really need to. They need to wake up quick because men are not going to step up and sacrifice their lives for girls like this no more.
here's
All
you
you have to
said
do-
the
All you have to
other day,
do is,
Rocky,
huh?
the other day, you said it the best. Okay, let's have the fucking gays all their own fucking boat, right? Have the women all their own boat. The guys on their own boat, and see which one fucking crashes first.
Let's see who operates better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not to be insulting. It's like when you have people, all they care about is their identity in politics.
Yep.
Why can't you do your job?
Yep.
If you're a
Because if you
paid
got-
professional wearing the nation's cloth, so to speak, by wearing a military uniform, and you're supposed to defend the country, you're supposed to be loyal to the country, you're not supposed to say fuck the president and all that other shit. We need to see if you actually can do your fucking job.
Yeah,
Well-
meritocracy's been around since the Middle Ages. I wouldn't go to the baker to get my fucking horseshoes. You know what I mean? For my horse, I go to the blacksmith. Because the blacksmith is trained in that trade.
Yep.
It's been established so fucking long ago that it should have never left. Meritocracy is what it is. You're the best person for the job. You do that job. Whether you like it or not. It's not the patriarchy or blah, 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 or whatever the fuck anybody wants to say it is.
I honestly
If you are the person that can do that job, male or female, and you get it on merit, that's who gets the fucking job. It's been around forever.
Yeah, I honestly think if women think there's a fucking patriarchy, if there was a patriarchy, would women be allowed to vote?
Fuck no, it'd be like what they say. Black guys were, black men that were freed during, the Emancipation Proclamation were allowed to vote before women, and that's what pushed the obviously the women's movement forward, the feminist movement or womenism movement, like they say, forward, because they're like, we want equal rights. Well, there isn't any rights that a woman in today's age does not have than a man. Everybody's pretty much equal in voting and all of that now.
They are. We're equal but different, right? But
Yeah.
also, what women don't realize is we can take the power back. We're physically superior to you.
Yeah, and that's the whole
Right.
argument about transgenderism, that they're still, that they blocked out, men and women's sports. Like, just because you say that you're a woman doesn't make you a woman. And then they ask, what the definition is. And it's like, you have a guy that runs and like Leah Thomas or whatever his name was before, 200 in swimming, goes to the women's division and takes over first place. That is a clear sign. And there's more examples out there of men quoting or unquote transitioning. And I know this is going to be like controversial, but look at the numbers. They go from 200, 100 in ranking with other men, and then they're first in women's divisions. You can't fucking tell me that's an unfair advantage. Have your own fucking league. Everybody can go together. There isn't any, what do they say, transgender men, which is women transitioning, right, to men, that go compete in men's leagues. They try, and they've gotten destroyed. There's actual examples.
The thing that boggles my mind is it was the conservatives that wanted to protect the one president that all the women hate the most was the one that did an executive order to protect women from being hurt and destroyed in those sports. that was completely ruined. Like world records or college NCAA records were ruined because some dude said he was a girl.
Well,
Like,
the NCAA
yeah,
took away Leah Thompson's title and
good,
gave it to Lincoln, or not Lincoln Riley, but Riley Gates, the
Yeah.
one who actually did win.
good. That's the way it should be.
Because
Yeah.
she actually did win it over Leah Thompson, right?
Yeah.
That was,
But
When
then
you
they said, well, no, we got to give it to her, even though you won, because of politics. This will make us
Yeah.
look better.
Once again, that's why I have no respect for politicians or people that use politics to get their way and manipulate others. If they can't do it the right way, which is the honest way, you should have no fucking voice. You can have a voice, but you should not be listened to because you have nothing good or helpful to offer to anybody. And you know, I'll say that to my dying freaking day. I don't care if it makes you fucking mad or not.
well, and it pisses me off because myself, I'll talk about myself. You know, I've went to drag shows, you know, men dressing up like women, having their fun. You know, we all went out to have fun. You know, I think one of the girls took us out there and we watched the show. Had a great fucking time. None of the guys tried to hit on us. Nobody ever tried to fucking bother us. They didn't get, you know, flamboyant. They did their thing, went on, you know, and we did it in fucking Iceland. We were at we're in Reykjavik over there, and they had a drag queen bar over there. And they didn't bother anybody. But nowadays, like, they want to fucking throw it in everybody's face. And that's why drag queens, true drag queens, I don't, not agree with it, but it didn't bother anybody. You know, they're making communities like we talked about look back. We talk about live your life however you want to in your bedroom. That's all conservatives really care about. You know, most of them are liberals. Like, I don't care what you do in your bedroom. Don't fucking shove it down my throat and we'll go on about it. You know, you work next to me. I work next to you. You don't fucking try to force that why I should be, in your side. I'm on your side because I'm working with you. Just leave it at that. Leave everybody the fuck alone. You know, that's the big thing. Leave the kids alone. That's what's been the biggest thing too. Leave the fucking kids alone. They will eventually make their own choices later on. I just seen last night on Timcast, they had a woman on there that was transitioned to a man. And she was like 13, the state of California. If she didn't give expressive rights to have her parents talk to the psychologist, because it's like an emancipation clause, she didn't have to let them in and they could talk one-on-one. And I had friends back in the day, girls that were tomboys. That, they didn't fucking bother me. They weren't going to be a man. They just turned to lesbians. Yeah, whatever. Cool. Let's go skateboard or let's go listen to music. Whatever. Cool. Whatever. This whole agenda is what's tearing everybody apart too. Yeah, that's just my opinion. I've been around it. Went to the gay bar in Hillcrest. I was in San Diego. Met a couple Navy guys. You wouldn't have thought that they were gay, but they talked normal, no problems. It was funny because the one guy I started talking to, he's seen a couple chicks. They were hiding in the gay bar, right? Because they didn't want to be bothered. It bothered them because
they're invading their male space.
Yeah, so we went and fucked with him. We're sitting. He's like, he nudges me. He's like, "You want to go fuck with him?" Because he knew I was hetero. Like that was the first question he's asked me. He's like, "You're hetero, aren't you?" I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Cool, let's go fuck with these chicks." After we got talking for a while, and that's what we did. The one girl was like, "Oh, we're not from around here," and I'm talking to her friend. She's like, "Oh yeah, we're from here. This is where we come to hide." And then we, basically ran them out of the bar for fun. But that's the thing. Like, none of those guys were trying to advance or anything like that. They were just living their life. And this was back in 2011, 2012. That fun, fun shit. And that's why we all get the jokes made fun of us. Like, fucking 100 sailors go down the sub and 50 couples come back up, like all of that bullshit. But it's like, no, nobody fucking cares, man. Like, do your thing. Like, oh, Gilly picked up another hooker the other night. What did she look like?
Or might not be. Okay, we'd be at the bar or stateside. Okay, he don't do it. He done won the hogging contest. He got the biggest girl in the bar.
Who's got it? I got it right here. It's my own flag. I'm gonna fucking fly it really quick. You know. And that's the way. And that's the way that it should be. Preferences, like women say they get preferences, but men don't. You know, if I don't like your weight or your looks, I'm considered, like this toxic man. You know, and it's like, why am I toxic? Because I have my own preferences. I don't like your attitude. I don't
There
like
was
the.
a man or woman that was undercover as a man just to see how hard it was to be a man.
I
And she ended up, I have the book.
And she wanted to
have the
fucking
book.
shoot herself or kill herself afterwards.
I thought she did.
She had assisted suicide in
So
France.
she did kill herself. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that just proves, she just proved, if you people watch that, watch her talk or read her book, it talks about how hard it is to be a man in today's world.
It's a self-made man. I forgot her name. I have it upstairs. If you want me to go upstairs real quick, I'll go grab it.
That's fine.
I'll be right back, boys.
Yeah, and it's going to that, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
The women. I seen another one the other day, a short too, where a girl took over his Tinder profile, like he allowed, and she acted like a man, took his picture.
Yep.
And after like 3 days, she was so depressed at the things that were being said to him.
Yep.
She was like, I'm getting to the point where I hate women. Like I hate ourselves. And she's a like full woman, not any of the other stuff. And she was like, I just fucking hate it. Like I hate fucking being on here. And then everybody
see, like a lot of men, we don't care, when if we find a woman attractive, right, and want to pursue her, we don't care what kind of job she has or anything like that. We don't care.
No.
But women, you got to make six figures. Who cares what I make? Who cares what you make? As long as we can get along, that's the main thing right there.
That's what like Rocky and everybody's getting at. It's like we just want to be equal. I will take care of you. I make fun of it. It's called white knight syndrome, where you're always standing up, regardless. And you don't honestly, you're not looking for a gratification out of that, but you just want to be appreciated every once in a while. Like, hey babe, thanks for, whatever, A, B, or C, without, getting all crazy with it. It's just a thank you. Just, thanks out of the blue. Thanks for doing this, or, thanks for that. It becomes like, what is that? The honeydew list. You get a list of fucking, things that need done around the house. And it's like, you're gonna fucking do this because you're the man, and there's no gratification for it. It's almost ungrateful as fuck.
Well, see, it's like when I first got married, I was already off work, on long-term disability. And I helped, she worked, I helped out around the house until one day she came home bitching about, well, I didn't clean the house good enough. And I looked at her, I said, then you fucking clean the house the way you want it, and I'll just take care of the outside. Fuck you. And that worked great until we got rid of that old house and moved here. And then when I got sick, physically sick, couldn't do much, lost all that weight. Doctors couldn't figure out why. Then she started bitching. I said, look, your job was to take care of the inside. My job to take care of the outside. We covered that long time ago. All that shit. I said, now you want to change shit? I said, no, that ain't happening. Play some,
Go ahead, Rocky. What do you got?
Self-Made Man by Nora Vincent. Sorry if it's not in focus. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's trying.
It's an interesting book. She thought she was a rabid feminist, right? And she was also a lesbian. And she thought that men actually had it easier in life. And the more that she tried to be a man, the more she understood that men don't have it easy. Women actually have it easy. And they even did a news report on this, like 2006, 7, or 8, where she said, I'm glad I'm a woman. We have way more privilege than men. And when you really think about it, these women that saying they're fucking being oppressed, they're full of shit and they're brainwashed and they're not able to think right. They're not able to think. They're not able to actually think objectively. They just think within themselves. It's this thing called solipsism, where they think no one else has the mind but them. I don't know why it is like that, but I can almost pinpoint it to the way that Eve acted in the Garden of Eden. Just in that little bit of writing for Genesis chapter 3, it explains all of it. And when you dissect it, it explains the whole dynamic between men and women and why it's falling apart. And that's why men were the way they were in the ancient times, and they didn't let women do everything because they knew that they loved women so much they didn't want them to self-destruct. And apparently it's like a lot of girls have a bigger self-destruct mode than men. But the problem is more men are apt to hurt themselves and off themselves because they find nothing to hope in life for. It's like they've abandoned all hope and then they just off themselves, and it's a damn shame. You know what I mean?
What, Dante's Inferno, all abandon all hope ye that
Yeah.
fear?
I mean, that's a book that a lot of people should read, or a poem, or whatever it is, right? I mean, it's got some stuff in there, but there's some truth in that.
He was going after Beatrice, the love of his life. It tells you what men will do. True, like not true men, but men are inherently will go fucking crawl through broken glass, go through hell for a woman that truly loves him and he truly loves. That like we said, that connection. They will do that. Men want to do that. They've done it in the past. It's already been shown. Like, I don't want you to have to work. Stay here, chill, hang out, make a cocktail, whatever the fuck you want to do. I'll go do the work.
I mean, the ultimate example of that is in Genesis chapter 3. Adam knew when he took a bite of that fruit. He took a bite of that fruit, whatever it was, because he knew Eve was going to die and he wanted to be with her. He loved her that much that he wanted to be with her. But now today you have women that say all men are bad. All men hate women. No, they don't. They love women. They just hate the way you act. They hate the way you behave. They hate your frame of mind. They hate the fact that they can't get a wife. The one thing that men most likely want in this life is a wife and children and a family, a genetic line, so to speak. And when you're denying them that, or cheating on them and having another man's baby and then faking it and saying that it's his baby when it's not really his, you're terrible. And that's what's going on.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I bring this up a lot because it's important. I think the way that we're going to protect this country is with men that actually love this country and have something to fight for in this country. And women have taken it all away, especially in the West. They've took away every reason for men to even try hard, to even do anything.
That's why they fucking hate passport bros.
Yes. And women have to understand that passport bros were not made by men being men. It was men that just woke up and said, you know what? If I'm not wanted here, I'll go somewhere else where I'm wanted and respected.
Yeah. And then they throw in that argument, oh, you just want somebody that's oppressive and obedient. It's like, no, I want somebody loyal. Like we were already saying what loyalty is. It's been twisted. It's been twisted up to, oh, you want me to be subservient. And subservience has been twisted too. A man is subservient to women too, because they want to take care of their needs. It's the same fucking thing.
Not all women are bad.
No,
not all women are bad. And there are a lot of piece of shit guys out there. We do know that too.
Well, we do know.
It's in both. It works both ways right there.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of terrible, heinous men that were serial killers, right? A lot of guys were serial killers. But when you do the homework and do the research, what caused them to become a serial killer? Their mother.
Mm-hmm.
What did their mother do? Even in the TV show, have you guys seen Mind? It was on Netflix. It was about the FBI and the Violent Crimes Unit, how they became
hunters. Yeah, Mindhunters.
Hunters. That guy, that was the 6'5" guy they did an interview on.
Yeah.
Why did he become the serial killer he became? Because his mother was a rabid, abusive feminist. And there's the evil cycle is going to keep on going on unless they stop being so selfish. That's both men and women, and start loving each other.
Oh, it was the co-ed killer. I know what you're talking about. Ed Kemper.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you do the research on that, you find that it's like, well, no wonder this guy did that to women. What was the model of woman he grew up with? You know? And
And
that's not to say there's not bad apples in all different walks of life, because there really are. There really are. I mean, we probably knew people on the Fife that were really bad. I don't know. I don't know what happened to some of them afterwards. I could be wrong. I know that I met people in other commands, they ended up being really bad.
Yep.
So, but it's like you have to make a conscious decision to try and do the right thing, do right by yourself and do right by others. Or the golden rule is what? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. If you want to be treated a certain way, then treat other people that way.
yeah,
And people being treated that way, don't take their kindness as weakness. Because I used to be a nice person a lot of times, right? And people would walk all over me, and then they would see the Rocky they didn't want to see, the one that was evil,
man,
like the Metallica song, like I was, am I evil? Yes, I am. Am I evil? I am man, right? It was because of that. I said, you don't mistake my kindness for weakness.
yeah, and I had that happen. Remember old Buffy Reese, Black Girl DK,
Oh yeah.
always trying to get after her and living in a female birthing.
Yeah.
I finally found out one day that I was too nice. Like she didn't want to be with nice guys, because they say like, nice guys are weak, like you're saying, Rocky. And it was like you're trying to go, and this was back in what, 2000?
Yeah,
5 years ago.
it's been the same for forever, bro. It's
Yeah.
just now they have a phrase for it called the red pill. You know, and that it's the sexual dynamics between men and women. And if you really want to get into it, it all boils down to mating preference, mating cycle,
Yeah.
how women mate and how men mate, and they're at odds with each other.
Oh man, speaking of that, have you seen what female lions will do to male lions when they're in mating season? Have you seen that? There's an article I have to dig up. But anyway, she is in mating season when she's in heat, and she will continually bite his balls to keep him going. Like, I'm not done yet. You keep going. And it was a hilarious article because it's just funny because it almost turns into like a nymphomaniac style. And it's like, but I'm in the mating season. Like, we're not done. We need to keep going. And I just thought it was funny that the animal kingdom has something similar too. So we're not dissimilar from each other.
No,
That,
no, I mean, if you look at animals, do you guys have pets?
oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
They have emotions just like we do, right?
Yep.
They have feelings, they have emotions, they have thoughts. They may not be as smart as human beings, but in a
Oh,
lot of ways,
depends on
in
the
a lot of
breed
ways,
of the dog. Depends on the breed of the dog. I'm gonna tell you that right
in
now.
a lot of ways, they're actually more smart and wiser and have more wisdom than people do.
Sure.
And I've noticed that with the cats I have and the dogs that I've had. You know what I mean?
And Neil Tyson DeGrasse, I don't like a lot of things he said, but he did make a good point about animals, especially dogs. Every day to them is a week. You know what I mean? So they live every day to the fullest. So they're always learning every day what you would learn in a week as a human. So that builds up over time because we know that over time you build wisdom. So it was very interesting to think that's why they're always so lovey or cuddling or needy, is because they want to enjoy every day. Every day is a week to them. That's where time gets like that weird linear, time paradox type shit. And it just made sense. I was like, that does. That's why the dogs are always like, ha, yay,
Well, and there's a
unless
BB.
it's like abusive.
Okay,
And there's
I
a
got
meme
an
out there
example.
too. Like on Facebook, saying that I'm gonna send out angels, but without halos, and showing a picture of a black Labrador puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
I mean, animals are there, dude. Like they know indistinctly. Like we've talked about ghost stories and shit. Dogs see it,
Yeah.
cats see it, dogs especially.
Like, okay, I got an example of yesterday. Yesterday, I was angry about something. I was so heated about something in the morning when I woke up and I was venting. And my cat, Callie, the one that I saved, she was on the bed and she was going like this to me, trying to get me to pick her up. And you know what happened when I picked her up? She started purring. And that purring, like, is like a soothing, I don't know, it's like medicinal in a way, right? And I picked her up and I held her and I pet her and it was like touching the grass kind of thing. And I was fine after that. And my wife's like, she did that. She knows what she's doing. She's like, that cat loves you. And she knew that you were angry about something and she wanted to help calm you down. I was like, this is so cool because I'm not a cat person, right? I did not grow up liking cats. I grew up hating them. But
Cats
because
are the devil.
but because Heidi likes cats so much, I have to learn how to live with them, right? There's some things that I will budge on, and there's other things I will never budge on, right? But I budged on cats because I got to learn how to live in peace with other animals, right? Because you do find out they're actually pretty cool animals. But it was cool to see that because it's like she loves me enough to calm me down when I get angry and I get heated. And like I think people need to understand that about animals, like dogs, animals. I've seen videos where cows do that.
Yeah, that's why
You
that's
know,
why horses are big in therapy for kids that's autistic or not just mental disabilities but physical disabilities as well too.
Yeah, you can see that. You can see that with the videos. The Royal Guard in England, and you can tell like horses know indistinctly. They know. And I know my wife said it was something years ago. She doesn't talk about it much. But she loved riding horses because horses soothed her in some of the trauma that she was going through. So and you see those horses, man. They see the disabled kids, they see the autistic kids, and they know. Animals know what's going on. Even the smallest things. I don't like rats that much, but
I think that's why we're appointed in the garden to be a gardener and to take care of all the animals. Because I think every animal that we have that we're supposed to take care of teaches us a lesson about how we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to treat other men and women, honestly. And
go back
it's
to
like
the Noah story.
when you have dogs, you see the best in dogs, right? Yeah, they crap and all this other stuff, but man, they're so happy to see you. They wag their tail. They're so happy to see you. Cats come up to you, they purr, like they're not always attacking you. And it's like I love animals because they provide something that some people won't even provide to other people anymore.
Which
That's
is kind of crazy too.
Yeah.
Like I've seen more than enough times that they would pick their their pet over another human, which is, I got loving animals, but that's just crazy.
Well,
It's funny because you see those memes. It's like it has like Hitler, a transgender person, and then like an Antifa person, and that squirrel that got killed, right? That wore the cowboy hat. And it's like there's a house fire and you can only save one. Guess who everyone's going to choose to save? The squirrel.
Peanut was his name.
Yeah.
I like that. I ain't gonna save the fucking squirrel, but eat that motherfucker. Come on now. I'm gonna deep fry that son of a bitch and has some
I think that you know that Rocky in the Bible, it talks about God will provide everything. So it's like dogs are looked at different overseas. We've already seen all that, dogs and cats, we domesticated them. People eat them, but people in India won't eat a cow and will eat hamburgers and steak all day long.
Yeah, when people in India come here, where do they go? McDonald's, Burger King, Steak and Shake,
Well, I could go into see what actually everyone's eating when they eat McDonald's.
Oh yeah, that's always fun.
That's a video.
It's no longer fresh beef. What they ate back in the 60s or 50s when they opened. Yeah, it's all fucking plant-based shit, or not plant-based, but made in a fucking factory.
Well, there's some rumors that it's actually dead people you're eating.
Yeah,
Green.
Because cannibalism is not outlawed in this country. It's not.
That's crazy, dude. Cannibalism, man.
But since it's not outlawed, where the fuck you gonna buy that shit at?
Well, so cannibalism isn't illegal, but God put in a a fail safe to keep us from eating each other. Because Papua New Guinea, if you watch the studies on them, because
Oh,
they've
yeah.
been animals for a long time, their mental capacity decreases. Like they start to die from eating people from that protein.
There's
So
an actual X-Files episode on that.
yeah, and it's actual studies too that by eating people, your body fucking degrades, and your mental.
Yeah, your mind goes crazy.
Mhm.
Well, that's probably what happened to Jeffrey Dahmer. He went fucking nuts, started eating motherfuckers.
He wanted to make zombies and shit, and he's drilling holes, and I mean, you're always gonna have crazy people out there, and I think like we talked about, lifting the veil, we're starting to see how many people do need some help, and a lot of this is being manufactured. A lot of this psychosis is being manufactured, and there's a story. Have you ever heard of the rake? You ever heard of that cryptid, the rake?
Yep.
Do you know how it became, like the theory behind it being um came in, like if it's real, how
Is
it
it
came
similar?
in?
Is it similar to like the Wendigo?
No, different than the Wendigo. The rake is
Oh.
completely different.
What's the story?
So the rake was kind of like a creepy pasta story, like Slender Man. Well, they talked about mass psychosis and the amount of energy that was produced actually made the rake. It actually formed into existence. And that's just a theory out there, but it's funny to talk about folklore and new cryptids coming out from a mass amount of energy from people believing it.
It's like the Tibetan thought form. I
Mm.
forgot what it's called. But Tibet and all that stuff, that goes into occultism, which is hidden things, right? That's on the dark side of that's the left-hand path, so to speak.
Yeah, it'd be like manifest destiny type stuff.
Yeah.
We can manifest it. And
Not
that,
the manifest destiny, like go and expand and take over land,
yeah.
but the manifest, like, yeah. And it's crazy because, yeah, there's a lot more cryptid sightings now, too.
Yeah.
It's
And
UFO sightings, aliens, all kinds of crazy shit.
I'm ready to hang out with an alien that's benevolent. I mean, I know there's a few out there, let's hang out, have a beer,
Man, there's a crazy story that I want to tell you guys someday. It's about this lieutenant colonel who was a sniper. And he actually, I think he got murdered or his wife got murdered because of this. And
We'll have to save that one up. Saved rounds.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's a crazy story. And I heard an interview on him on YouTube, and this was back in 2013, 2014. I have not been able to find it since. I think it has been removed.
Yeah, it's probably broken link.
Yeah.
And that's, goes back to what we were talking about before, there's so much land out there, there's so much, earth caves, you name it, man. There's definitely species out there.
Oh, check this out, dude. I was listening to Art Bell today, right? And it's from this channel S'mores with Art Bell or something. Let me show you. I'll find it. Give me a second.
No, absolutely not. You're not allowed to find anything on the internet.
I'm going to
Shit,
find it right now. Save
Shit,
it.
I just want to find him being an alien.
Oh,
Right.
it's called S'more. It's called S'mores Indoors, right? And they had this guy come on, and he did a documentary called The Real Lost World, and it's in Venezuela and Brazil, and it's like, remember the movie Up, where that ship lands on a plateau, and then they find Kevin the bird, and Kevin's actually a female. That's the Lost World. So all of Jurassic Park, the Lost World, all that shit is based off of this Sir Arthur Conan Doyle thing. And apparently some of this shit is real from the 1800s, right? And they went into a cave and found that there was these microbes that eat glass. Yeah, imagine that thing going to a computer and eating your whole computer up.
And that goes back to what we were talking about, oxygen and shit. And I seen the meat. I was going to come back around to it. We got to it. Is that fungus, mushrooms and all that stuff. The way that it works is they breathe oxygen too. And there are some mushrooms like portobellos that taste like meat, right? They're an alternative to meat because they eat oxygen or use oxygen. So the meme is that they're giving off oxygen to turn us into a food source. Like we're the food source of fungus, right? Because you look at decomposition, what grows on it and what eats what. And it was just a funny meme because we're like, we think we're the top of the food chain, and it's like, well, not that. Like,
Did you ever see the X-Files episode called the Field Trip?
no, I didn't see that one.
And it's this one where Mulder and Scully go looking for these people that were hiking, and they end up falling into this trap where this fungus makes them hallucinate,
Mhm.
and it eats them up. And in this one, Scully and Mulder both fall into this thing, and they both have their own hallucinations where like Scully sees an alien and everything, and it's called Field Trip. And it talks about a fungus like a mushroom eating people. You bump into the fungus, right? And it sprays up this powder and it makes you trip. And then the ground swallows you and you're being eaten alive, but you don't know it.
Which is 100% real because you can get psychedelic mushrooms. And what's funny is where they grow is underneath cow patties, underneath cow shit. And there has to be it's a certain cycle. Like you can grow them, but naturally it's under cow shit under certain conditions and you get them. That's why they taste like shit. And I've had them before, in the past before I joined. And you have to, that plays real credence into it. They make you hallucinate. It's a psilocybin. It's in mushrooms.
Yeah. Well, the crazy part was, have you guys ever watched the show Supernatural?
I've watched some of it.
There's one where they have genies in it, the jinn, right? That's what they call them in Islam, jinn. And this jinn injects these people with something and makes them hallucinate, and it makes their wish come true in this hallucination while it feeds off of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the title of the episode is "What Should." It's a Led Zeppelin song. What should and should not be. It's a "If I Stay With You Tomorrow." It's an old one. It's off like one of their earlier albums, but it's just trip because it's very similar to the mushroom thing.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like that's all natural shit that everybody forgets how much shit can actually kill us. That's not a virus or a disease, but nature itself. And that goes back into what we were talking about, harmony and all of that kind of stuff. And it's just funny to watch these shows kind of like pick up on it, and then you do the science on it. You're like, oh shit, this is real. Like this is real shit out there. And
I like watching shows like that where you actually kind of learn something.
Mm-hmm.
But also in those shows, they reveal a lot of truths in satire.
Like we were saying earlier, It's all in comedy. It's hidden. Like I implore everybody to watch Inside Job, like we were talking about those families and the shadow government. They kind of take it off the rail a little bit towards the end there, but it's fun to watch and kind of like, like we said before, it's like a what if. Like this makes a lot of sense with what we're seeing right now.
And it always comes back to that book, Behold the Pale Horse, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like almost everything, like even the civil rights thing could be like the Behold the Pale Horse, because you give civil rights to people and then you also create government programs to fuck those people over you just gave rights to ruin their lives. It's like so messed up.
Which is what Gilly brought up in quite a few episodes before about, Nixon or Lyndon B. Johnson and putting people on the government team. And that's what you're seeing is being exposed, is getting these people off of those programs. Remember when people were talking about federal assistance and you had to take a drug test to get federal assistance, and you seen, oh my God, like the Democrats are doing now, like we can't fucking do that to people. We can't drug test them to get these benefits. And it's like, motherfucker, I got to take a drug test for a job. I'm in the military. I got to take a drug test every month, if not 2 or 3 times a month. So it's like, I'm paying into the federal government. I got to fucking take a drug test. Everybody else got to take a drug test, alcohol test, wherever you want to. But yeah, you're going to get free federal funds and you're not even working, and you could be smoking up, which we know the drug epidemic has been around for a while. The opioid epidemic, which they're going through now, that they've talked about, hooking people on opioids.
Yeah, that happened in Charlie Wilson's war,
Mm-hmm.
Afghanistan.
Well,
so I mean, you have You have
Talk
the
about the
heroin.
heroin epidemic that Brooklyn had, New York had back in the fucking 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you have the drug wars that are going on right now that Trump just said, hey, all these guys are terrorists. Kill them. So I saw something on the news that said that Trump was going to, the Mexican government is going to allow them to go hunt down the cartels.
And the CIA is already doing drone things, reconnaissance on them right now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm interested to see what happens, but I wonder if they're also going to find out who are the corrupt CIA agents that are actually behind it. It's gonna end up being like the Departed movie. You ever see the movie The Departed?
Oh, yeah.
Jack Nicholson was a bad guy, right? But he was also an informant for the FBI.
Yep.
And being hunted by the Boston cops or whatever. It's going to end up being something like that, bro.
Yeah. It's kind of like how Whitey Bulger was an informant for FBI and killing people at the same time selling drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's what I want our government to do to the cartels, right? Just tell the fucking jarheads it's all fair game. Just do whatever your heart content is, and just let those bulldogs just run loose, rabbit.
Well, and they got to be careful because everybody kind of forgets that the cartel has been arming themselves for a long time. So it's not like we're going after goat herders in Afghanistan. These guys know their land too, but they're heavily armed. They're not, they're wearing body armor. They're not wearing sheets. So we got to kind of be careful about how we go in with the bravado. Like this shit needs to be tactical, like legit tactical.
Well, also, since they're going into probably where rainforests are, they need a definite look at all the other animals and other things out there that can kill them.
Yeah, Panama, when we were doing operations in Panama and shit back in the day.
I mean, because, there's always rumors of dinosaurs living in those areas and giant tarantulas and all kinds of other fucking animals that are being discovered that no one really knows about because it's too terrifying.
Well, not only that, like we talked about before, you leave a species alone, like Hodges was saying, or Thumper, and how if you leave a species alone and unchecked, like no human interaction, they're going to get big. I mean, they're adjacent to their environment. You know what I mean? Like if I got to attack a jaguar, I need something as big as a jaguar. And that made that funny because you remember King Kong, the new one, and they seemed like the giant, bamboo fucking walking insect, looked like a bamboo tree, and it's like fucking 30 feet in the air. Shit like that could actually fucking be real. It wouldn't be that tall, but, they're all designed to take care of their environment and live in that environment. Remember arachnophobia? Arachnophobia fucking put that, into perspective. Living off of a corpse, sucking its blood till it got over, back stateside. That's what, and like I said, that's where a lot of these folk were like vampires and shit. Like vampires, I think, everybody says blood, but I've also seen examples where they take life force. They're sucking off your life force. And we assume blood is life force when we talk about blood itself and how it's generated.
Well, that's because of the Bible verse in Leviticus that says the life is in the blood, right? There's an actual verse in the Bible. I know it's in Leviticus. I don't know the exact verse, but it says life is in the blood. But that also has another meaning. Life came from someone's blood that died.
Mm-hmm.
But this is where it gets crazy. Like those other books I had about giants and all that other stuff, the Nephilim, that's where cannibalism came from, the giants. And imagine you have angels that look like lions, wolves, snakes, dragons. The chimeras, but they're actually angels. And they actually have a station in life that the Most High gave them, but they rebelled against God, right? They rebelled against Yah. And they come down here, they have sex with women, their DNA mixes, and that's where you get giants, ogres, all the crazy animals that we see in Greek mythology and all of that stuff. That's their origin.
And I want to spin that a little bit. Does anybody remember the Disney cartoon Gargoyles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does anybody know like the church version of Gargoyles? Since we're talking about Nephilim.
I don't remember, bro. I used to watch the cartoon. I liked it.
So the cartoon kind of tuned into it a little bit. It was angels that gave themselves to protect humanity. In order for them to protect humanity, they lost their divineness. So they became ugly winged creatures, and they stood. And you can see that on cathedrals from back in the day. There are gargoyles
That is
over them.
that to me is a Gnostic twist. If you know what Gnosticism is, it's a
Yes.
Gnostic twist, right? Because in the book of Jude, it says that I'll read it to you. Give me a second, I'll find it. It's really interesting. I mean, we're there. We might as well talk about it. It's not going to be that long. Everyone, calm down. All one of you people watching.
We're not the Bible anymore.
Where is it at? It says, now I want to remind you, although once fully knew that Jesus, who saved people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed those who did not believe, and the angels who did not stay within their own position of authority, but left their proper dwelling, he has kept in eternal chains under gloomy darkness until the judgment of the great day. Just as Sodom and Gomorrah and the surrounding cities, which likewise indulged in sexual immorality and pursued unnatural desire, serve it as example by undergoing punishment of eternal fire. So that means those angels that kept not their first estate, they left heaven to be with women. And that's the Gnostic twist, because the real twist is these guys had lust for women. So
And that's and I hadn't finished as we're going through it.
yeah,
In the cartoon show, the lead gargoyle, like you would call the leader, does fall in love with a human woman.
Mhm.
Right? So the way that it's wrapped up in there is that they were protectors of humanity, which they do on the show, but they turn back into stone, which would be the internal change themselves. And then he does fall in love with a human woman. And, they finally turn back over to human looking forms,
yeah.
towards the end of the show.
What's crazy is even though that show is not about the Bible, it really is.
Mhm.
It's just a satanic Gnostic form. And that's like, if anyone's watching this, I want them to understand, like, every TV show you watch, every movie you watch, every series you watch, it's about the Bible some way. They just do the satanic twist on it. And
Yeah,
if you don't know what you're watching, you won't understand it. And it's crazy because now I watch everything and I evaluate everything like that, right? And it makes me like the Debbie Downer party kill, right? But I'm also like, hey, look at that. That's from this verse.
it drives my family fucking nuts.
But the truth is the most precious thing we have. That's what's going to get people saved in the end. Hopefully.
Well, and you would go back to like when we were talking about demon power itself, and I know everybody's like, oh, here we go. But if you read through that, the only way that power is obtained is through voicing it. And that's where we see a lot of that's been going on for a long time. You have to show your power. You can't have it hidden. In order to gain that power, it has to be said. So I don't know the exact references to it, like the Bible itself, but I know it's in there that it has to be broadcast. Like it can't be hidden in the dark circles. And that's why you had like the Church of Satan, Anton LaVey. It was broadcasted out to the public. Like,
Did
hey,
you ever hear the story of how he died?
there's weird things about it. I don't remember exactly, like his daughter.
I watched a podcast where this guy was trying to protect his daughter. And he was doing what Professor X does in the X-Men. He went into the astral realm. And apparently in the astral realm, you can go to another realm in the spirit, apparently. But the proper way to do it is through the Holy Spirit, right? The Most High God Spirit. And this guy was doing it the wrong way. And apparently that's where the term silver cord comes from. You ever heard of a silver cord? That's where it comes from. So this guy was trying to attack this dude that was protecting his daughter because they were going to sacrifice the daughter to Satan. And apparently God had enough of it and cut the silver cord. And then when he went back to his body, he was dying, right? His spirit got trapped or whatever. And that's when Anton LaVey was like, oh, no, no, I made a mistake or whatever, right? Because he saw that he's dying and now he's going to eternal punishment. Or he's resting in peace until the great white throne judgment.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Like, there's other extra biblical books that talk about, like, when a person dies, they don't automatically go to heaven or hell. They go to sleep, or they wander around the world for a couple days or something like that. I don't know. It's trippy. I got to read it again. But then they end up going to where they're going to get in a holding cell, kind of like Abraham's bosom in the New Testament when Jesus talked about Lazarus and the rich man. And so it's up in the air whether we go, but we know that immediately after this, whether you go to sleep or not, you're getting judged.
There's two movies that cover that. So The Book of the Dead by Clive Barker, which shows like the highways of the dead and where you get the thin veil and everybody's kind of walking, they can find a spot to kind of get back into the living, shows that. And then what you're saying, with astral projection is an Insidious, right? Because he can project himself into the spirit world, and that's where, demons and everything can get a hold of you. So there are movies and things that do interpret the same thing you're saying.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone's interested in an interesting book, 23 Minutes in Hell.
Yeah.
I read that book. I was not on the Fife because I think it came out in 2002, 2003, and I bought it after I married Heidi, and I read it. And it was about this guy who went to sleep and he went to hell. He went to hell in a dream, or his spirit went to hell, and he was being tortured by demons or something that looked like reptilians. But he also went to a place that was called the bottomless pit, where they had these giant spider looking things like Shelob from the Lord of the fucking Rings all chained up and pissed off. And then he got taken out of hell by Jesus Christ and went to heaven. And dude, that book was crazy because it's like an NDE, right? A near death experience. And my thoughts on near death experience are still like, I don't know whether it's legit or not. But it is interesting to hear what people see, because there's a lot of people that have NDEs and they go to heaven and they say there's always music playing. Heaven is loud and there's always singing. And the people are singing, the angels are singing, and flowers and grass are singing.
Kind of like the old Disney movies.
Yeah,
Disney
but it's like,
Yeah,
but they're all singing praise to God. Like,
Yeah.
they're all singing to the Most High God. And it's like, that sounds amazing. I would love to see what that looked like.
So I have a personal experience. When my mother first had her heart failure, she went down for almost like 7 minutes. They were doing CPR, keeping everything flowing. And mom said when she got out of that for that 7 minutes, she didn't know how long it was. She didn't see anything. She didn't even realize she was dead. Not legally dead, but could have died. You know what I mean? Like, she's like, I didn't see anything. I didn't see not a fucking thing. She's like, because, we'd always been to church and stuff and heard those things. She's like, I didn't see anything. It kind of leans to like where you're asleep. Like, you don't know, like when you go under anesthesia, like when I had my surgery a while back, I was out for fucking 8 hours. They were trying to get everything put back together. 8 fucking hours was like nothing to me, where time just completely stops and you're asleep. I mean, you're dreaming, but you're not coming out of it. You know what I mean? Like, you're not coming out, you're seeing old things, but that time stops for you. You're like, how long was that? Oh man, we've been working on you for like 8 hours solid in surgery. And there's even longer ones, like 12, 14, 16 hours. What do you got, Gillian?
My next surgery was 12 hours.
Yeah. You don't remember shit of it either. You
Well,
didn't
no, I remember waking up
crazy.
fucking morphine, pump full of morphine, feeling good, right? Singing.
So what's crazy is, like, if you have those NDE near-death experiences, right? Maybe the people that actually have the NDEs, I'm going to abbreviate it NDE, they're actually given that for a reason,
Could
to
be.
warn others
Could be.
I guess that's the only thing that makes sense. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
they'll argue brain firing and synopsis, and like your dreams when you're dreaming at night, your subconscious is kind of throwing everything around.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's always an argument
Yeah.
on what you've seen when you're there. I don't,
Uh,
I'm not discrediting either one of them.
See, scientists and biblical scholars are never going to agree on shit like that.
No,
No.
they're
They
not.
won't.
They're not because scientists want to deny accountability.
I mean, or they're
that's
trying
their
to
kryptonite.
disprove that there is a God, right? That's what
Yes.
they're trying to disprove.
The crazy thing is in all honesty, you cannot disprove it because cosmologists know that in an instant,
I mean, they
time,
try to
matter,
with
and
the Big Bang
space
Theory and
came
all that.
at the same time.
I mean, they
And what-
try. They try all the time with the Big Bang Theory, all that shit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they try.
They do. But what they don't understand is time, space, and matter all came into existence at the exact same moment. And then right after that is let there be light.
I mean, something or somebody had to create that.
Yeah, and what scientists don't like to call what scientists will call that, they'll call it the first cause.
Yeah.
Right? Something had to get the Big Bang to go.
Yeah.
Something had to get the universe going, so to speak, right? You know what universe means? A single spoken sentence. That's what universe means. So, in a single spoken sentence, everything was made. That's power right there.
That's actually where scientists are starting to agree is that not so much the Big Bang Theory, but the end of the universe itself, like the edge, like they've completely found the end where it comes out from there. So, and that would make sense. Like that's where they're starting to agree on. It's like this happened from somewhere, and it's not just reality itself. It just didn't come out of fucking nowhere. That there was a creation, a creator that happened, and that's the key thing is the creator itself.
Who is he? Who is it? Who is he? Who is
Her, is he, is she, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Whatever.
And the thing is like if it's the God of the Bible, we're all in big, big trouble. We are, because he's the only one that really talks about, I'm gonna hold you accountable.
I mean, it boils down to what people believe in, because like Hinduism, they got a different God, what Christians have.
Oh, they have thousands or hundreds of thousands
Yeah.
of gods, bro.
Muslims, they got what's his name, right? That's
Allah.
their God. It all depends on what you believe in, what religion you really believe in. That's what
But
it boils down to.
it ultimately ends with the higher power. There's always a God.
Yeah.
We
We just don't know which one it is.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I'm pretty sure I know who it is. And
But
there's
look
other
at-
little G gods below him.
But look at the Indians, right?
We are on the two worst subjects you can be on: religion and politics.
Yeah.
That is the two things you don't argue when you've been drinking.
You know
We went
what?
off
We
the
can
thing.
actually
But I mean,
get
look at-
emotional and argue about it. That's kind of nice, and it's kind of refreshing.
Yeah.
Maybe other
Yeah.
people to take
Yeah,
note
but
and
look
say, "Hey, we don't have to fight over this."
yeah, but look at the Indians, right? They believe in a creator, but it's like
Yes,
a
they do.
spirit.
Yes, the Great Spirit.
Yes.
And what's crazy is they know who the Great Spirit is. They have a name for him.
And it's not what we call God or what the Hindus call theirs or what Muslims call theirs. It's a different name.
No, it's a different God, but they also know that there's a Savior.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is like I have a book on it, and there's a guy named Chief Riverwind who talks about this stuff, and he says that when the Spaniards came and all the colonials came and they preached the gospel of Jesus Christ, they knew exactly, the Native Americans knew exactly who they were talking about.
Which
They
I
already
believe
knew
that-
about the gospel.
I'll
but-
believe what the Indians believe over what today's organized religion is.
Yeah, I agree too.
Any
You
day
know,
of the week.
You know what we should talk about is America actually the old world.
That's another episode there.
That's another episode. That's more than one episode right there. That's
Yeah.
just like, that's interesting to think about. And then we could talk about, well, what do you think about the Hollow Earth? What do you think about Antarctica?
Don't get
What do
me
you think
started on
about
Hollow
this?
Earth, man.
Huh?
Don't get me started on Hollow Earth.
Oh,
That's
dude, it's
we
so
can leave
interesting.
that. We can leave that for Sunday or something like that.
Or
You
we
know?
could just tell funny sea stories. I love
Yeah.
hearing the sea
But we
stories.
did forget to talk about J.D. Vance's book and his movie.
Yeah, I mean, let's go back to that, all the way back to, when we were saying his quote, the hillbilly eulogy. This man's out of Ohio, which is right next door to me in Indiana. And, I can understand where he's coming from because that's what a lot of us came from. Midwest, not, rich kids or whatever,
Yep.
looking a name, in the military and to better ourselves, and a lot of people do. I didn't have any fucking direction at the time. I was in and out of jobs and whatever. And, one day it just sparked me. It was like, you know what? I seen a Navy ad come on the TV. I called the 1-800 number. Motherfuckers sent me a manila envelope with a VHS tape and some pamphlets. I watched the VHS tape. 2 days later, recruiters at my door. You know what I mean? And that's the history right there. Like 24 years later, man, retired.
See,
It was rough, but that one point in my life, one point of opportunity that was presented to me that I understood because my grandfather was in the Navy too. And I took it because nobody else had been in the military in the family except grandpa. And everybody fucking hated it. Like they were mad at him for that. And I took it, and it was it's a love-hate relationship. We all can say that.
definitely,
Right
definitely.
back. We all can say that we've seen this when we tell our sea stories. We've been overseas, we've done the things, we've seen things that will change people forever. That most people when we tell the stories will never grasp the concept. And
They're not
that's
going to find it funny like we do.
yeah, yeah, and that goes back to what we're saying. We're making satire, out of it, but it's real. It's real stories, it really happened. And it's like, oh, you guys are bullshit, and you're like, no, we're not, man. It's as crazy as a fucking Hollywood movie. Like Roan, remember Roan that one night, fucking taking over the motor scooter when we were in Thailand.
Hold on, honey, we're going for a ride.
Yeah, he jumped on that motherfucker right behind her, like, whoa, because he was so tall.
And that girl screaming, ah!
Or didn't he get electrocuted too?
No, that was wood. That was wood.
Was
They
it
got
wood?
electrocuted at the bar because they had a little pole, stripper pole in the middle of the bar, right? Of course, Wood. We got him so fucking drunk. He's like, you better have Wood. I'll get out there. And they had a little switch. They could electrify that bitch. And they did. Then they let go of it. He fell on their desk. They had those fucking poker where the fucking shit was at. What the fuck?
I don't know what happened.
I don't know. Everything went blank for a minute.
Where?
When'd you go into sleep mode?
No, I don't know.
It's still recording. Keep going.
But he fell on that, got that fucking poker right in one of his ass cheeks. We was all laughing. I'm gonna kill you, motherfuckers.
Him in his high pitched voice.
Oh yeah,
Whatever happened to Rome?
bro.
Oh, I don't know what happened to Roe, man.
I had him on Facebook, but he turned left and he took me off Facebook. It was 2016 when Trump was running, right? So
Remember when that cocksucker tried to make us climb up the exhaust of the boiler fucking tubes? And
oh hell yeah,
me and you were too short to like put our legs and back up against it to fucking inch it up.
exactly.
That's what I was talking about. Unlawful orders. I was like, I ain't fucking climbing up that thing without a harness on, or a ladder.
And there was nowhere to put your lanyard on the harness when you got up there. There was no fucking place. And I tried to climb up there, right? And I slid down that bitch.
And
Fucked
so
up
did
my leg.
I went
I
up
was
there.
like, fuck you, bro. You're taller. You fucking. Well, I'm a second class. I said, I don't give a fuck. You're taller. You go do it.
And that's when we had the Spider-Man boots. They used to make fun of me because I remember the old flight deck boots. They had that smooth sole and then the stitch tip. Those were the most fucking comfortable boots ever because you could wear them and and they form to your feet. And somebody fucking stole mine when I made it to the bulk league. They kept making fun of me like, oh shit, Smitty's putting on his fucking Spider-Man boots. Better watch out. He's coming your way. I'd be like, fuck you, motherfucker. Because they were really tall too. You know, they had that flare out. They wrapped around your ankle and calf really well.
Yep.
And they really did look like fucking Spider-Man boots at the time. You know, but they'd give me shit all the time about wearing them motherfuckers. You know. And you know, Rocky, you've been in as long as almost I have, you know, 24 years of fucking stories, you know, 15 years on sea for me. You know, it's surreal. You know, people can't get that life. And I understand there's only 1% of us that serve or can serve. But when you do, it's so fucking crazy that when you look back at it, you're like, how did I ever survive this thing?
I wonder the same thing all the time. Like I did 24 years, 1 month, and 3 days. And, you know, for a lot of my time in the Navy, after I left the flight, I was very angry and very like bitter. But I eventually got over that and made rank and all that other stuff. And dude, like I have a lot of stories, but I'm trying to tell them when they apply to what we're talking about.
Well, and that's right. I mean,
Some of them just don't apply. Like a lot of them apply to like the intersexual dynamics. I mean, I could tell you stories about how women talk to me and how I talked to them and they got fucking mad. And I said, well, fuck you. You disrespect me, I'm a fucking disrespect you back.
And that's
Yeah.
where we get labeled as misogynist.
I don't give a fuck. I don't hate you. I just don't like the way you treat me. If you want me to treat you with respect, you better goddamn well treat me with fucking respect.
it's like anybody would talk to each other, like we would talk to each other. You know
Yeah.
what? Disrespect me, I'm gonna fucking tell you off.
Yeah. I mean, you can't expect that. You know, like, yeah, I did 24 years and it's like, I think I forgot more than I remember now.
So we can sit here and call each other fuck faces, all we want to not get back too.
Yeah, because it's almost like a term of endearment between men.
Because like there's times I'll call a little thing. He goes, "What the fuck you want, asshole?" I'm like, "You listen here, you little prick."
You know, and it carries over because I knew you when you were as third class. I came in as a fireman, and there's still a respect for each other, even though I made chief.
Yeah,
you know, it still holds true, and I got in a lot of trouble for that because guys that I came up with, you know, that we bonded with, and when I made chief, you were supposed to sever that fucking bond.
Nope.
You know what I mean? And it's like, no, I don't need to sever my bond for a leadership position. And that's what I fucking hated about being a chief the most. Was like, these are the guys that we brought up together.
Yeah.
We made this shit fucking run. Yeah. You know, we put all this shit together like we always did.
Yeah.
And it was like, I remember one time my buddy, you know, I used to carpool because I didn't have my license at the time. Took me 20 fucking years to get my license back because I didn't need it. But, you know, we rode in and I was a chief. He was a first or second class. And we lived next to each other as neighbors. So we were riding into the parking lot in Norfolk. You know how Norfolk has like chiefs parking and junior personnel parking.
Yep.
And I'm like, fuck that, dude. You know, like I'm hungover. Like, let's go up to the fucking chiefs parking. Well, one of the assholes, fucking old Sean, seen us getting out and got mad because he took up chiefs parking. He was a junior sailor. And I got talked to. I got pulled in. Ray's like, you can't be having preferential treatment with your fucking junior personnel. And I'm like, he's not even in my division. He's in my fucking watch section, you know, while we're underway. I'm like, this is fucking stupid. And that's where I started really, like you're saying, Rocky, really got fucking turned off by the Navy and that camaraderie because it's like, oh, you got to be a completely fucking different person. No, motherfucker.
Like I never had the camaraderie I had anywhere else except on the USS Fife, except with one other person, and that was when I was in Gitmo, and he ended up helping me. He set me on a course to make chief, He gave me a chance, right? He
Yeah.
looked at me, he gave me a chance. He ended up letting me become a SAMI, small arms marksmanship instructor, and a instructor
Yep.
and an AT anti-terrorism training supervisor. So I got 2 C schools from him. And those 2 C schools, and he also sent me to get anti-terrorism officer. So I had all 3 of the most important schools for defending a base and knowing how to defend a base and how people defend themselves and all that stuff, right? And when I went to Bahrain, I did really good. I was trying to get out of AT though, anti-terrorism. I was like, let me go ride a boat. They're like, oh, we're going to put you in AT because they knew I knew all this stuff. And when we had Jasiva and like CNOIVA and all that other stuff, I did really good, right? I made our command look good. So I ended up getting an honorable mention from these guys, and they put in my eval, and the next year I made chief.
That's
You
good.
know, and it was because someone gave me a chance because I had good camaraderie with them because I'd met them when they were in Seal Beach with me. And this was one of the people that I told like conspiracies to, and I was a Christian, and people thought I was a Bible thumper, and people hated me because they would try to debate evolution versus creation with me. And I was like, okay, well, here's what the Bible says. Here's what science says. And they would get so mad. It's like, look, you can get mad at me all you want. I'm just telling you what it says. But he ended up getting saved and all that other stuff, right? And then when he saw me again, he was like the one person that I could trust at the command where he was at to help him do his job better, right? So it gave me a chance, and then it set me on the course to make chief. But all the camaraderie that we had on the 5, you know, for those few years that I was on there, I've never had anything like that ever.
Well,
No.
it's like when I got to Laboon, right? I got there, what, in 02, early 02. And I was there for a little bit. I hung out with one guy. His name was Jason too. Everyone told me, you can't, he's a troublemaker, blah, blah, blah. I said, no, fuck that. I don't give a fuck. Because they didn't like him because he was an ex-jarhead, right? Former jar. He went from jarheads to Navy. Great worker. They didn't want to teach him nothing. And then the Karsgård came on Laboon as a chief, right? And then fucking Karsgård, him and I started hanging out. And the chiefs told him, you can't hang out with him. He said, motherfucker, I knew this motherfucker when he's a fireman. Fuck you. When I was a second class. But on the West Coast, especially coming from Japan, the chiefs, all of us, we all drank together. Even the officers drank together. We all did. But you come from West Coast to East Coast, it's a different ballgame. That's what threw me, put a bad taste, not a bad taste, but maybe not like the Navy no more. Was at that time, was the fucking East Coast right there. That one command rubbed me right there.
No, I 100% agree, and I agree with Rocky too. The camaraderie that was built on the 5, I've never seen again. I've had friends, acquaintances, but here's the key thing. Look at where we're at now. 3 guys from the 5 get back together
27 years later.
After fucking a quarter of a fucking century.
Yep.
It's actually pretty amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what I actually hope is when I hope more people from the 5 from the military see this and be like, hey, this is the first podcast that I know of its kind where we have people that serve together for a significant amount of time that still talk to each other.
Yep.
And we're also trying to help veterans and people that served with us. And we would love to talk to people that were from the USS 5, no matter what time period, because I'm sure they got some pretty fucking awesome sea stories. And I've talked to a couple already, and I'm like, hey, just let me know when you want to come on and tell your sea stories. We're more than happy to do it. You know what I mean?
That's
And
like,
Wood was the only, Wood, I was the only one that Wood trusted. Like when we were at Panama the one time, we got a hotel room together. We closed a fucking strip bar down one night in Panama, the Club Elite 2. We literally closed that place down. They flipped the lights on and they're like, hey, it's time to leave. We go outside. It's fucking daytime. And we went in at nighttime, and then we're out looking for breakfast and we're going to the grocery store to fill up the hotel room. And we end up seeing a couple of the strippers and they're like, disappointing because that was the night that I was giving massages to all the strippers that night, like all of them. Like, I did it to like 2 girls, and then they started passing it on, and I had strippers sitting in front of me going, "Do my feet, do my back," and I'm like, "Okay, woo, give you a free drink." Next thing you know, here comes a free rum and coke, sitting there just doing everything. I didn't pay for shit that night, you know.
Well, at least you learned from fucking Frisco when you was throwing out fucking $100 bills. Then I was
Yeah,
like, what the fuck?
that
Don't be
was
spending your whole
rough.
paycheck at the strip club. Come on, let's get the fuck out of here.
That one got a little rough there. But we were in downtown San Francisco, and this is what pisses me off. People don't realize when you go to, what was it, Pier 49? We were
Yeah.
birthed at.
Something like that.
Walk everywhere in fucking San Francisco. When we found the Chinese restaurant where we got into the part where you couldn't read fucking English anymore,
Yep.
and you're like, let's find the dirtiest one. I'm like, okay, I trust you.
Old Chinatown. Chinatown.
Yeah, we found
That
that
was-
really
But that
dirty
was before.
restaurant.
That was before you ever got to go to Hong Kong too. That was before 2000. That was like 99.
Yeah, when we went to Hong Kong, that was great too. And it
Now
was
you
like, but
Now you see why I said,
actually used to be a cool place to fucking visit.
Yeah.
Alcatraz, all of that shit, man. Nobody fucked with you. Remember that night, Wilson? We were at that bar, and we kept going back and forth. Remember, because we were at the strip joint,
Yep.
and it was a no alcohol bar. So we would go back to the same bar, get the hit out that night, and go drink, keep coming back and forth.
Yep.
And that was great, dude. Like, San Francisco used to be so fucking beautiful, man. So fucking beautiful. So much fun being there. And then, because I fell asleep in one of the parks just outside of that spot. And nobody fucking bothered me. They just thought I was homeless for a little
we
bit.
did get chased by a bum one day. This was during daytime. Trying to
Oh,
sell
yeah.
flag football. And I was like, motherfucker, go fuck yourself. Get a job, you fucking bum. Motherfucker started chasing us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do remember that.
But I remember on the pier, the fucking the guy that was painted silver, right?
Yeah.
Dude, the guy was great. And the Bushman that would hide behind the bush and scare people.
I don't remember him. I remember the dude that held up the sign was like, need money for weed. And I was like,
Yeah.
here you go.
And I remember one time,
Remember the guy?
the first time I was there in Frisco, you wasn't there yet, Little Take.
No, I was on the
Kavanaugh. Because that's when Bobby Urbitas, great place to get squid, right? Was still open at that time. This is 98. And I was with Cav, and the Bushman came up and fucking tried to scare him, and he just fucking clocked that motherfucker, laid that motherfucker out.
Cav did?
Cav did. He's like,
That's hilarious.
"Motherfucker, don't ever try to scare me, motherfucker. I'm from Louisiana. I'll fuck you up."
Yeah, and Cap wasn't a small dude, man. Like he was tall and big. Like he was yoked out pretty good. I mean,
I mean, that too. I was like, "Cav, we gotta get the fuck out of here. Come on, we're getting ready."
and that's where I seen Joe Rogan for the first time. He was still doing Fear Factory.
Yep.
Or Fear Factor, sorry. He was down at what they called the Cannery. It was an area not too far there, and there were some local bars and shit like that. And we were just walking. I was walking around by myself when you could still go out like a fucking adult. I'm walking through the Cannery, and Steelhead Brewery was down there too. So I'm going between like a bar that had like 60 fucking beers on tap in Steelhead, and I found this little ass fucking comedy club, and it was like Joe Rogan. I was like, who the fuck is Joe Rogan? It's so funny to talk about Joe Rogan back in the day. Like, who the fuck is this guy? I had never seen Fear Factor. And I went in and watched his show back then. Holy fuck, dude. Best show I ever seen, because we were literally like probably 15 feet from the stage. I'm sitting with a couple. Like, everybody's grouped up, right? They stick you on a table. Doesn't matter who's at the table. They stick you at this little round ass table. They find out, that I'm in the Navy, and they're buying me fucking beers. And I'm watching Joe Rogan on a little ass stage fucking telling jokes. And
Now he's like He's like the king of podcasting now too.
Yeah, yeah, it's fucking crazy when for us, like military, we had the chance to see these fucking things, these people that grew up into, just huge. And that one will never leave me. That comedy show was he like grabbed the hold of the fucking oh, we had like a chair, little stool, and he was talking about tigers fucking, and he's like behind it going, "Oh," like fucking the stool. And like I mean, that's a memory you never get rid of. You can't drink that away. You can't none of that, and
No matter how much fucking coke you do, it never goes away.
yeah, I mean it was fucking great, dude. Like, and I wish it was still that way for everybody.
Yeah.
Like you said, as soon as I went to the East Coast, man, and September 11 went down, the whole, everything got locked down. I mean, it was like when we were in Dubai, when it was all fucking desert. Like, people don't realize how much fucking desert was out there until we finally made it into the city.
Yeah.
I think that's when World War III started.
That's a possibility.
Like that's the beginning of World War III.
Well, when we got to Dubai.
Yeah, we kind of raided some of those places. Remember the old Rock Bar and shit?
Oh, yeah. But we was pretty much good in those countries right there in the Middle East. We was somewhat good anyways.
I'll tell you what, who's assholes over there was the fucking Saudis, because they're not allowed to drink in Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
So they come down to Dubai and they drink down there, and they get out of hand.
Now, I remember we was at, I think it was Dubai. No, it might have been Jabal Ali, right? We was at that little fucking club with the swimming pool, right, for Navy people.
Yeah, that was it was Jabal Ali, but I mean that's still UAE, and then you go in.
But I remember Rocky, he was so fucked up drinking those fucking mixed drinks he was drinking at that time. Dude, we had to carry you on the bus.
Yeah, I remember that, dude, and I never got in trouble. It's very similar to fucking Jimmy's fucking story.
Oh yeah, you know it.
Like,
because you sitting there.
We'll expand on that story another day.
Yeah, I mean those are stories, but I want to expand on like the camaraderie. We were adults. Even though we were 20, 21, we were young adults, and we took care of each other, and we understood what we were in. We were loyal to the country and to what we believe,
and loyal to each other too.
Yeah. And that was the key thing. And that's what I'm trying to say from the beginning. That's not obedience. That is taking care of each other as loyalty. There you go.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I miss that shit.
Yeah. I think that's what a lot of veterans do. That's what makes it really fucking hard. Like we said before, like we don't have a purpose anymore as men themselves. Like, we lost a purpose. We want to do things for everyone. When your soul is as a caring soul, you don't have anything to care for anymore. There's a lot of, you got your family, but your family out to sea is a little bit different. Those are the people that become your family, and you take care of your family.
And what you're saying definitely correlates to what men are going through nowadays. Like, they don't have a purpose. They don't have they have a purpose, but they can't fulfill their purpose. So what are they going to do? You know what I mean? And that's where the country's in the rock and the hard place, whether people want to acknowledge it or not. I want to get the warning signs, because I have scenarios in my head where this shit doesn't go right and our country falls apart. Western civilization falls apart. I hope it doesn't happen that way.
Well, I think they're trying to destroy the great experiment with America.
What's crazy is, like, if you watched Ancient Aliens, they said America's supposed to last for 800 years. George Washington had a vision about this shit,
Hey, I love Ancient Aliens. We could talk about Ancient Aliens all motherfucking day long.
I want to do my hair like that guy. It was ancient flesh and blood aliens.
But the thing is, with Ancient Aliens, the new coffin they put out, it's pretty much the old shit they've been doing, just saying it's new.
So this goes back to the jokes I was saying about like, like how we get made fun of. We did a scenario in Central. It was like, who would your bromance be? And I was like, Giorgio Sulakis. They're like, who the fuck is that? I was like, dude off Ancient Aliens, that big ass fucking crazy hair. They're like, really? And I was like, yeah, that's who I take a bromance on any day of the week. They're like, holy. And then we started going through everybody else, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Ronnie Coleman, these guys. And I'm like, no, I'm taking Giorgio. Giorgio's my man. We made it funny. That was when we were on the Ford Sherman, because everybody's in Central. Everybody's just trying to make jokes and fucking play, with each other. And, it just makes it funny. And that's what we're saying. We can talk with each other. We can call each other shit. And nobody takes it offensive. It's like, whatever.
What I'd really like to do is I'd like to talk to some of the females that were on the ship with us if they're willing to come on and talk. Catch up.
I'll see if Kelly wants to come on Sunday.
I mean, I would love to hear a woman's perspective.
Yeah.
Being in a male dominated space, and they still made it work. And everybody that worked with them, they didn't use their status as a female, but use their status as a hard worker.
Yeah.
I think some of them did, but some of them didn't. And I respect the ones that didn't.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's only a handful out there that I ever seen that worked hard or was willing to learn the rates and do the work. Got physical, right? Physicalities, whatever. They mentally they wanted to do it. They wanted people to give them a chance. I had that happen, and that's another longer story with one of the girls I worked with. She just wanted to be given a chance. She came up with two moms, and so she was in that dynamic. And then when a man like myself showed her how to work, because she just wanted to be taught, she wanted to learn, and nobody gave her the fucking chance because she was a little bit whiny, a little bit cryy. But you weed that out of them, and they fucking work just as hard, And I think that's a lot of problem. And she wasn't a boss bitch, none of that stuff. She just wanted to learn.
I really can't take women serious that say that, because it's like, you're not going to boss me around.
No.
See,
I don't really care. I'll walk away. I will walk away and let you doom yourself.
See, on Laboon, we had a girl that she was an AC too. And she could weld just as good as the guys could. I was impressed with that. I was like, damn, I said, you go. And she was down to earth, everything.
Honestly, I like to see women that can do that stuff. I have more respect for them when they actually do their job right.
Well,
because I want to see that, because I want to think the best of people. I don't want someone in a position where they can't actually do the job and just use their sex card for it or whatever, right? Because I've seen that since fucking at least 1998.
Well, yeah, especially when when they did the experiment. Okay, we're gonna put women on fucking service ships. We was one of the first ships to get them. Then we see the good, we see the bad on it. Right.
And I was one of the first divisions in boot camp, Chicago, to integrate with females. Like we integrated to do everything together. We were separate, so they slept, on their own. Yeah. But in the morning when we started our day, we integrated and we went out and marched, and that was the first integration point. And I was part of that.
I remember the first time we pulled into Vancouver, right? Or might have been Victoria. Third Navy base. Might have been 98. Might have been. So Little Ted, I don't know if he was there or not. You might have been 99 or something. But
yeah,
we moored up on their Navy base, right? And how we got to go on their ship, one of their ships, right? Dude, they had fucking co-ed showers, everything. And they even had a bar on the motherfucker.
Oh, yeah, I love the Canadians, man.
I'm like, God damn, I say, these Canadians got going on here.
Say what you want to about the Canadians now, but back in the day, the Canadians were fun. Yeah. I was in Florida with them, and they had LM 2500s too.
Yep.
but they didn't have a certain set of the gap gauge for the igniters for the engine, right, to do the measurement. So they asked us if we had it. Of course we had it. I was the fucking parts, the tool PO for it. I'm like, here you go. And those motherfuckers were trying to offer us drinks when we were on there. We're like, we can't take the fucking drinks, man. Like, we're gonna get in trouble. They're like, you're gonna get in trouble for drinking on our ship? I was like, yeah, we get in trouble. And they showed us their bar, like they're ready to give it over. And I'm like, you know what, man, let's take one shot. And they gave us like one shot of like whiskey.
I know being Cav, when we went on there, they invited us to the ship. I mean, it wasn't working hours, nothing like that. It was liberty hours. Shit, fucking 50-cent draws. I was like, fuck yeah. And me and Cav, we got fucked up before we went out of town.
This all goes back to what Rocky's saying. Like we're saying, camaraderie. And we're talking about different countries. Sailors themselves are in a whole different fucking realm.
Oh, yeah.
Camaraderie across nations, like we fuck with the Russians. So,
that's the only ones I partnered with out in town, that was sailors. Now, I did not get along with the fucking Russians. Those
Russians
are the only ones.
All right. Well, we've had enough in. I got to start. Let's do this. Let's end. Well, who do we have for moment of silence tonight?
How about Justin Short?
Yeah, we do that.
Okay. Do we know? All right. Throw in Justin then really quick.
I the last time I knew him, he was ENF, and I don't know if he made rank because I left in 2002, and I don't know. I got told later he passed away.
I don't know if he ever made third class or not because he was still a fireman when I left. So
he was a really funny guy, though, man. That guy made me laugh a lot. He was cool.
Oh yeah.
Rocky, you want to close it out with a prayer for him, family?
Let's have a moment of silence for him.
All right.
Right now. Justin Short, we miss you, bro. Fair winds and falling of seas, shipmate.
Until we see you again, David Jones' locker, brother.
Yep. All right. Well, I guess I'll ding us out.
Let's go.
Make sure no bloopers this time.
Yeah, I know. Let me get my thing right.
I don't think we have to worry about the bloopers this time. So.
Oh, that blooper was hilarious, man. All right, here we go. Fifers departing.